On May 29th at 8 p.m., join us for the paranormal investigation of Olympia Books in Dowagiac, Michigan. This 100-year-old building hosts paranormal claims of disembodied voices, shadow figures, and poltergeist activity. Over its history, it has had many stories, and death has been a source of its mysteries.
Spend some time with the dead.
On demand almost. We'd be like, hey, can you like touch the duck or make it go off? And it would just start lighting up and going crazy.
Why should we be afraid of you?
Hello and welcome to What Goes Bump in the Night. I'm your host, Trevor Jensen, and alongside me as always is
Riley Clark.
And we are joined today by our ghoulish guide, the Ghoul Guide.
Hi, guys.
Ow, ow, ow.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
You know, just living our best lives. I leave for Edinburgh Manor tomorrow morning, so it's like I'm living on cloud nine a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous. I was just talking about going there this weekend.
Oh, I can't wait.
I've heard so many great things about it.
Yep, POV Paranormal so graciously extended the olive branch to come and hang out with them and help like with their event that they're doing there. And woo, doggy, I couldn't turn it down. It's a long drive, but I could not turn it down.
Oh my goodness. You are going to have to tell me all about that.
Oh, definitely. So, where are you located?
So my home base is pretty much Buffalo, New York.
Okie dokie. So you're in a good area for the paranormal.
I would say so.
I am. We are very blessed with the amount of bandos and the amount of haunted locations and just eerie places all within Western New York.
Oh, definitely.
New York is just blessed in general, honestly. As much as of a pain as it is to like even like travel because it feels like you're just driving in the state forever. It's pretty worth it.
We know the feeling. Oh, that's awesome though. So, I mean, how long have you been doing, paranormal stuff, or has this been like just like a lifelong, cruise of what the fuck is happening?
It's kind of just been like this lifelong thing.
Yep.
I've been in love with it pretty much all of my life. It's been like this weird little constant where I've tried to like push it away and not even focus on it, but it always seems to just creep up on me.
Oh yeah.
So, after high school, about like 15 years ago, which is just gross to say.
Felt that too.
Like every time everyone's like, "How long have you been doing this?" I was like, "Oh, I don't want to say."
It's been a long little minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I was doing it on and off, like whenever I could, or just like convince someone to come and go with me. So,
Oh, hell yeah.
When the pandemic hit, I just needed to leave. I didn't want to be cooped up in the house, so I would always go on drives.
I feel you.
Right.
So I ended up just going to cemeteries and like going for drives after getting coffee to like haunted locations. Like I just end up at like Rolling Hills Asylum just to see it.
Yeah,
and
just
then like you drive a
homegrown
little
roots.
further. Yeah. And then I had this like nagging little thought at like around like the end of summer where it's just like maybe you should like make a blog about this and just see if anyone wants to do this with you. And here we are almost 4 years later.
It's funny how it just spirals. Like like you start at the top and you're like, this is so interesting, and then like when you start diving in the rabbit hole, you're like, oh
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? I can't get out.
I don't even like believe in ghosts anymore. I just believe in like these weird little time slips, and I just want to prove that.
Right? See, we're here with this right now. Like this is the moment.
Everyone in the chat, they know that we love this theory called like the paper theory, like paper fold theory, where it's just a bunch of time like on top of each other. The more you fold it, the more layers of time get put on top of each other. And
Yeah,
like
we love to like throw around the theories, like especially when there's like dead time. We just love to throw it around where what if we're the ghosts, and what if the hauntings that we're creating are like one of two things, where it's this weird little time slip where you're pretty much investigating yourself like from 2 days ago or like from the future.
Right.
And or what if we are essentially the ghost stories that we've passed down throughout the years? And my friend Steve gave like this really cool example when he was investigating Trans Allegheny. Like, what if they were to just go up the stairs and open the door to like the third floor, and all of a sudden they're transported back in time, or someone from that time line sees them. They see them in these like weird figures, with backpacks and flashlights, and then they go back to their friends or like in the nurse's office, and they're just like, "You'll never guess what I saw," and we essentially create this ghost story.
Yeah.
Just from this weird little time slip.
Right. And I mean, shoot, like look at how mass hysteria works in mysterious ways sometimes. But also it begs the question, like, are we seeing different, like a ton of different spirits or a ton of different paranormal events where it's like this is a residual like event where like something that happened here is now stuck here and it's on like a consistent loop? Or are we seeing, the slips in time where we're seeing like before our time and past our time? Like what if sometimes we're seeing things that are from the future, so like these maybe like floating alien like balls in the like in the woods like are actually explainable as like something in a futuristic way? I don't know, like it's all fucking theory and it's fucking amazing.
And like that's the beauty of it. Everyone within like the last couple of years, I've been seeing everyone like kind of tweet like, we want answers, and like we want to get to the bottom
we'll
of it.
Never get
like,
answers.
I'm just like, yeah, but like when you get your answer, like then what? Like,
yeah, are you just gonna lose interest and just like throw it away? Like it's just a pet you didn't
we
want?
already
Like,
know aliens are real and that they exist, and no one cared.
Yeah, literally, like everybody kind of just was like, "That's."
I feel like I was just talking about this the other day. How like no one cared that the government was just like, "Hey, we have this thing.
Like, here's your evidence. Cool, you had your cake.
There's humans flying alien spacecrafts right now. Like, yeah, we've reversed engineered their technology and have been for years.
Oh, let's talk about how Paris and fucking what's his nuts are dating how. Like, I don't know. It's just that's what gets me all the time.
Let's roast Tom Brady.
Like, there's so many other things.
As a Buffalo Bills fan, I'm here for the roast of Tom Brady.
It was pretty fucking hilarious, though. Not gonna lie. I absolutely love Kill Tony, and it's like my boy absolutely fucking nailed it. But that's for another conversation for sure. So, how do you feel, like about cryptids then? If we, like since you believe in a little bit of the other stuff, it's always fun to dabble because we spread the umbrella quite wide.
Yeah. I love cryptids. My first one that I ever like loved and like kind of researched was the Jersey Devil.
I was gonna say you're in the area, that's why I ask.
I was a Catholic school girly, so I was all like, let's get into it. Let's get into like the whole weird shit. And I was that like weirdo friend where it's like, hey, do you want to go like try to get Mothman or something like that? Like
West Virginia's pretty cool.
Like, you know what? Have you ever heard of like Bloody Mary? We should play this game on our sleepover.
Like Bloody Mary.
Right. So
definitely.
Jersey Devil is my favorite. Right now I'm obsessed with Mothman, mainly because I've been to West Virginia so many times and I still have yet to go see him.
It's such a crazy place.
Me and my two girlfriends, we love to like kind of joke, but like we're kind of like serious that we solved the Dover Demon case when we were in Massachusetts like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just it's a greyhound dog that got loose. That people
it's a big ass dog.
Like my friend Heather, who's in Small Town Monsters, we went on like a trip to go to like the Lizzie Borden house with a bunch of girls that we're in a book with. So we did like this weird paranormal sleepover together, and we actually met up a few days beforehand, and we were driving down to Fall River, so we were kind of like antiquing our way, and we were trying so hard to get into the Hockomock Swamp, but no one would help us. And then we're like, oh, we'll just go by the racetrack because like it used to be there. Yeah, we used to go there. Like Heather was telling us all about it. Like we got her like cryptid friends on the phone trying to like get us to like go cryptid hunting. And then we pulled into the parking lot. The racetrack was demolished.
Oh boy.
The back of it, I thought we were gonna die because it was like this weird recycling plant.
Yeah.
And we kept trying to ask for directions and no one would help us. And I'm just like, All right, well, we can't go see the Dover Demon, but I think we solved the case that it was just a greyhound.
Has to have been a greyhound.
So, like, we keep joking that we want to make a documentary on it, and I kind of hope we do, just because
Oh,
it kind of be
please
like,
make a
Got
mockumentary.
to.
You have to make a mockumentary. Some of those like are my favorite types of film because it's like you can do so much with those where it's like just the little puns and plays on
Oh,
things
yeah.
where you can be as serious as you want with it, but like you throw in just that little dark humor here and there.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
We were
fuck
like
you.
creating all this lore that like the only way to get it into your car was having a Nissan Rogue because that's what we drove that weekend. And he loved Dunkin' Donuts bagel bites.
That's like some shit we would say.
I was like, it's a Nissan Rogue and the Dunkin' Donuts bagel bites. Those are the two things to get him. We'll be set.
I mean,
he's got a very peculiar palate,
right? I mean, I get it. I'm a Dunkin' girly, so
right. See, and we're up here in Michigan, and we're like, I think Bigfoot 1,000,000% inhabits these Great Lakes, and we just can't find him because he's an interdimensional traveler or an alien, one of the two. And that's
an
one of the
dimensional traveler.
See, I'd lean towards that one a lot.
That's why he's always blurry.
I love it. They say that White Hill, New York is one of like the biggest Bigfoot places out here near the Adirondack. So it's on the other side of the state for me. So every time I drive through when I go to Vermont, I see all these like weird wooden statues and like carvings of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So those are like my biomarkers to go to Vermont. It's like these weird big. I'll have to like take a picture and post it one time when I'm driving.
I love that. See
what we got. Don't forget about Dogman.
Yeah, the Dogman do be Dogman
the other day.
It's so
the Michigan legend is so much different than all of the other ones because it has to happen on what the 7th day of the 7th year of the 7th month.
With a moon cycle is some type of way or some bullshit.
Yeah, there's 7s
like
involved.
You have to be like the second cousin of somebody and some fucking dumb shit like that. I 100% was like, somebody made this bitch up, but like the other like Dogman stuff, I definitely think might have some type of like, like.
Then is it a werewolf type thing? That's what I want to know.
Is it more of a lichen type of thing?
I mean, with all the rules, it's kind of starting to sound like a werewolf.
Right, like, are we about to like start finding people with really shiny and like metallic, like flaked skin, and they're gonna bite people and turn them into their kin?
Not. I'm not prepared for this.
Yeah, I just described Twilight. Get after it. My wife likes that shit. I've seen it too many times.
Never read the books. Never watched Twilight. All that I know of the movie is everything and every meme that I've seen online.
So
and
many.
I just want to
There's
keep
so
it that
many.
way.
It's lived so long. I whip that post as many times as I can because I find it hilarious now. So, where like what was your first experience with the paranormal? Like, what is it something in your past? Like where it was just like this event that just like boom, I saw this entity or like something like that.
Yeah. So the very first one that I ever remember, and I've only really started talking about this story when I started the Ghoul Guide. It was when I was about like 6 or 7.
Oh,
I was
shit,
just somewhere around that age. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and the way my bed was situated, it faced my window. And I remember looking over at the window, and the bottom right corner of it was this weird white face.
Oh, fuck.
And I stood there, like, I just, like, laid there in bed, like, completely rattled. And mainly because I knew there was no possible way to get up to my second story bedroom.
Yeah, like, how is somebody
it's on
just
the side of the house. There's no way to get up to it. So I was just like, oh, holy shit. And then, like, my little old me just like kind of like ran across the room, and I hid behind like my childhood bedroom was weird. It had like this weird chimney stack in it, so I hid behind that, and that was next to the window.
See, you have more balls than I, because I couldn't get out of bed. No way.
So like, I didn't know what to do. So I was just standing there, and it probably was only like a couple of minutes, but it felt like forever. And I just remember kind of like peeking around the corner, and everything was gone. So I just jumped back into bed that night and just like covered the blankets over my head, and like I didn't move until morning. And I thought that was going to be a story I took to my grave.
You're like, heart attack.
No one would have believed me. My mom would have been like, oh, you just watched a scary movie, because my sister's 5 years older than me, and we were just bad kids. So we would just watch whatever we wanted.
I mean, brutally honest is the best honest.
It's great. Like, I remember when she watched The Ring for the first time, she got so scared she covered up her TV for at least 3 months. Like, we're like we're babies when it comes to like horror stuff.
I love
like
it.
I freaked out. I thought it was like a story I was going to take to my grave, and I just started talking about it recently, and I can still replay that entire night, and I can still see the face in my head.
Yeah, because it gets like stamped into your brain,
right? And like there are some times where I thought about it, like even before I started like the whole blog and everything, I was like, that wasn't real. And I'm just like, yeah, no, that was real, because like I remember that whole fear in the face.
I have trauma from this shit.
I'm like, I didn't just make this up.
Oh god, that's very similar to how me and Riley also had, like similar starts where it's something that happens when you're not expecting it like that, where it's like, what the fuck just happened, dude? Like, no, unicorns don't exist. This is not real.
Do.
But wait a minute, that fucker had a horn.
Right? Like it was just, I don't know. I still can't explain it. I don't ever kind of want to explain it. It's just something
that's
that
what
happened,
I'm saying.
and
like,
just kind of like made me start believing that ghosts are real.
like like it's one of those like moments where you get that, I don't want to call it like a euphoric moment, but it's like now something has transcended the bounds of what I know, and that is like the most like intellectually stimulating thing for me. So it's like, oh fuck, like there has to be some type of explanation. And then you go through the whole checklist, and then nothing gets fucking checked, and you're just like,
well, when you spend friggin'
cool.
like over 20 years trying to figure out if something that you remember happened or
is
not,
actually
like
it's like,
right?
Man, I know it did. But
I
how the fuck did
misremember
that
stuff,
happen?
but I don't misremember that shit.
Yeah.
Right? I know. I was talking to my sister. I was like, I feel like I don't remember much from childhood, but the fact that I remember that says something.
Yeah, we have one. Well, there's one story that lives in this podcast lore very particularly famously, where it's like we went to the old Lincoln County Jail. We were upstairs in a like walking
Gang
through
violence.
the jail. Gang violence is right. And like we looked into I looked into one of the rooms in particular, and it was just like this heavy presence was just there. And it felt like, like Vanta Black, like this absence of anything in there. So like I stepped in there, whatever. Well, on the way home after we had a bunch of shit and we caught a bunch of cool stuff, we were like driving back. Riley was driving, and luckily I got to sleep. But then like I woke up out of a dead sleep with the most vivid dream I've ever had.
Just sweating.
Scared.
Like he was like, I thought I was gonna have to pull over
because
I thought he was gonna like throw up or
something
in rental. Like, bro, it's a rental if you're gonna hack chunks right now.
But
it's like the Uber rule.
Yeah, and I like looked at him and I was like, I just had this vivid like I would have called it a visual at that point of like I was standing in that same exact spot in front of the cells when I saw that really dark, heavy presence in that cell block. And like I walked into it and I had like a fucking dark presence like rush me back. And like I woke up when it like we would have collided, and I like was freaked the fuck out. And I've never had a dream like that vivid where like I felt like completely shell shocked like throughout every vibration in my body.
Yeah, and the spirit that haunted that cell is an axe murderer.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, I don't know, like you want to like
let's not forget that fact like, either. It was just an axe murderer hanging out in there,
But we like to think, like trauma definitely like sometimes will bury itself, or if you have a very traumatic event like that, maybe you do like subconsciously bury that and then see it differently because your mind tells you don't see that how you see that.
Right?
So I don't know.
It's just so interesting. There's so many like different avenues. Everything just branches off to where like I said before, the people who want answers, I don't think you're ever going to get them until the day you actually pass.
Fuck no. And you can just get in your low rider.
That's kind of the beauty of it. We're always going to be into the unknown. And, if you think you found an answer, I'm going to call BS.
Oh, fuck yeah. Simple. That's why it's always weird for me to like hear that there's like some of the people that and this isn't me calling out anybody. Like sometimes when people take it to like the more religious side of it, it's like, I don't think you can really add those monikers like always right away. Cause it's just so hard for me to say that like, that's what that is. Because how can we just say that immediately is, you know, like a demonic entity, or like angels in particular too? Like, how can we say like that was an angelic presence? It's really hard to add those.
Why are
monitors.
people only running into demons? Why aren't they running into angels?
Exactly.
Why are demons just running amok with no angels cleaning them up?
Everybody is subject to their own opinion. I don't poo-poo anybody. I ask more. Like, that's just me.
No, you kind of have to like separate your own beliefs from
Oh, definitely,
what you're doing. I mean, it's just kind of like a rule.
That's why it's like I like the scientific side of it.
Makes me wonder: are we just living in a world like Supernatural? Like that's the real life that we live in, and it's just heaven and hell battling each other, and we just don't understand it.
It'd be crazy.
I mean, maybe
we're not
given
the
way the world is right now. Who knows?
It would be crazy. And then karma is actually just like fucking the swift hand of justice from either some type of renegade angel or some shit. Like, I don't know. Now I'm fucking really reaching.
It's fine. It's paranormal.
See, but I just
paranormal.
we
don't know.
It's always
Supernatural
wild.
could be right.
It could be right. You could be right. Or like Dante's Inferno, you know, like maybe like Mr. Dante Alighieri himself went through the fucking 9 circles of hell and he came back with Beatrice.
Or maybe it's more like Lil Nicky.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I don't know. There's nothing that's happened to me in particular that has me going like, oh shit, dude, I think I figured that one out a little more, because I still haven't yet to have any really scary or bad encounters.
No, I feel like all the experiences I've walked away has just left me with more questions than answers at this point.
Oh yeah.
And it is what it is. It keeps you guessing, and it keeps the experience alive in a sense until your next little visit to the next.
It greases the wheels.
Yeah.
So where have you been that you would words are hard. It's hot in here.
It's fine.
So where have you been that you would say, you know, you've enjoyed the most? Maybe it hasn't been, you know, for like the paranormal stuff, but you've just really enjoyed it.
There's 2 places coming. Oh my god, I feel like this is such a hard answer because I fall in love with every place that I go to because they're all so different, and like they all hold like all these like different fun memories.
It's so unique.
It is. But like the first 2 coming to mind, it would be probably the Saratoga County Homestead in the Adirondack Mountains.
Ooh.
And Madison Seminary in Madison.
Okay, Madison Seminary is fucking sweet. And the other one sounds like it's in a beautiful
area. I've never heard of the first one.
So Madison mountains. Is a place that terrifies me.
Really?
We were actually just there 2 weekends ago doing events, and I kind of made a joke in my group, in one of my group chats, saying that like whenever I hit 100K on Instagram, I'll lock myself into a location. And I told everyone that like, you know, they can vote on it. And in the group chat, I threw down like, oh yeah, maybe I'll just lock myself at Madison. And the entire time walking through that building, like my friend Josie was standing next to me. I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like
just heart drop every corner.
I'm just like, to be in here. And like the weirdest thing is that like Madison's very active during the day.
Yeah.
But like there are those moments where you can walk up on a floor and you're just like, oh, I'm in trouble. Like
I'm in trouble.
And I have beef with the top floor, and then I have beef on the Civil War side. Those are the 2 places that have scared me in that building. And I have beef with the doctor that's upstairs because every time I'm there, I just call him out. It's just a habit.
Doctor,
because he was just a nasty person, and like the first time I was there, I had a private tour, and we were walking around, and we got up to the top floor, and I'm just like, I don't understand how a person can be like this. And I was just going all in on him. And from the staircase, you can just hear someone go, "Hey!" And
shit!
And I was like,
in a direct response.
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck is that? And me and the tour guide Denise, we looked around the entire floor and we saw that there was another car
who's
outside.
Fucking with us?
And we saw there was another car outside, so we're like, oh, it was probably just Jeff coming in. And then, you know, we finished up the tour, she let me get my pictures or whatever, and we all walked outside, and we were like, hey, did you step in the building? And he was like, no. I knew you guys were in there, so like I was just hanging out talking to these people. I was like, cool. So like that was like my very first experience with Madison, and it has just been so weird ever since. Like
That's so
one of like the
cool.
last times I was there in 2021, we were wrapping up the season, so it was like my first time like truly going into this.
Yeah, and it's a
Um
big place, so it's like,
yeah.
oh shit, dude, this is
So
daunting.
yeah, so we lost. It was kind of like the end of the season, pretty much. And
Yeah.
the night before, during the event, we lost a piece of equipment.
Oh
So we
no.
decided to just like sleep it off. We slept in the
Yeah,
lobby that day.
like it's
It was
fine.
freezing, so
Oh shit.
I barely had sleep that night. And our friends came back from the hotel because they grabbed a hotel about like maybe a few miles down, and they were like, okay, so while the guys pack up, we'll go take a look for the spirit box I think was missing. We went into the
We've
Civil
done
War
that.
side. We couldn't find anything, and then we wanted to get to breakfast, so we went over to the Ohio Cottage side, and we're like, we'll each just take a floor. I took the second floor. My friend Deanna took the third, and her husband took all the way up in the asylum.
Mhm.
I walked around the second. I got all of my B-roll for the winter, and then I heard her walking around on the third floor, and for a second I heard her walking, and then it stopped. So I assumed she was either on the other side or she went up to go meet up with her husband. So I went up to the third, walked around, couldn't find her at all, but I could still hear people walking and closing doors up in the asylum.
Oh
So I was just like, what the
Jesus.
hell are they doing up there? And like, there's
Right?
only one staircase to use. So like, if they would have like left, I should have heard it. She had noisy
Oh,
boots on.
100%, yeah.
Mhm.
Her husband's like a bull in the china shop. Like he is a lovable giant. Just everywhere he goes, he fumbles
We
around.
know how
I
that
love
goes
him
too.
dearly. Um, so after I got all my B-roll on the third floor, I started walking to the staircase, and as I turned the corner to get into the staircase, the watch that I had on vibrated. So I took a step up on the first stair, and I looked at my watch, and it was a text from Deanna going, "Hey, we're going to breakfast. We'll save you a seat." And in that moment, I stood there completely
Like,
silent,
wait.
looking up to the asylum that had the open door, and there was absolute silence coming from it. I go, "You have to be kidding me right now."
Yeah, like, wait.
So
How?
I didn't know what to do. I stood there just completely frozen for a good minute, and then I ran down. I don't even think I touched a stair on the way down, and I opened up the door to like the break room where we slept, and there they were with their hand on the door handle, and I was like, "Where were you?"
You
They were
better have
like,
been up
"Where were
there.
you?" And I go, "No, where the hell were you guys?" And they told me that they were down there for probably about like 10 minutes just waiting for
No
me.
shit.
So I don't know what was waiting for me up top. It's something that has
Sketchy
haunted me
shit.
ever since this happened, mainly because I'm just like, I should have went up there, but like at the same time, it's like,
Oh gosh,
what
that
the hell would have been
dilemma.
up there?
That's the biggest part of it too. Where it's like if I'm completely alone and there's a shit ton of activity going on and we're in like a place where it's like house criminals, am I taking my own safety into my hands going up there? Or am I about to walk into like the craziest paranormal event I will
Right?
ever witness? And is it going to change my life for the better or the worse?
Yeah. I in that moment I didn't know what to do. I just panicked and like ran. I was and then like now looking back on it, I really wish I would have went up there, but like
Right.
I'm okay. Like
That was our first couple of big attempts, you know, where it's like you hear something and you're like, well, let's go confirm that people are up here first. Okay, now let's go check it out. It's like,
yeah.
fuck, we should have
But
literally just went up there.
yeah, I will say when the first time I investigated Waverly Hills and we had a door slam on us in the body chute, I ran right to that door. It was me and another girl. It was probably about like four of us in the body chute. No one knew where we were. No one had a walkie on. Everyone just went on to the other side of the building, and they had no idea where we were. So when we were down there, um what happened was someone said that they heard shuffling or like a noise coming from the
Yeah.
very end of the tunnel.
Oh yeah.
So I finally took my eyes off the only door that was down there because I felt like we would be ambushed for some reason.
Yep.
I don't know if it was an intrusive thought or just like it almost actually happening, but but like
this happening?
I finally took my eyes away from it, and in that moment, as soon as my recorder, because I was the only one recording this, it flipped over to a minute. All you hear is a huge door just go boom. all of us lose our shit. It is just us screaming. And then someone's like, what was that? At one point you can hear, I think, me go, I don't know. And look away. Like, we were all just panicking. And then, like, me and another girl looked at each other and we just booked it. We just booked it to try to, like, find where it was. And I don't know what sense of confidence came over me on that night, but I was just
I feel like it's the vibrations that everything gives off, you know, like if you
right?
go
It's
into
the
a
adrenaline.
location, yeah, and like if you go into a location and like you get that like overwhelming negative presence, which it does happen, like I think you get that like more shy feeling of like I get a little more trigger happy in places where I don't feel that. So it's like, oh, I heard that, we're going now. Hurry up, grab your shit, we're going.
Yep. But like, come to find out, it was the emergency exit door, and like even the motion light was on outside. So like,
really,
I don't know what happened.
Somebody just skipped their way out of there.
I don't know, but like the other group that we had, because there was only like 10 of us there that night. We rented it out for a private.
Yeah.
They didn't even hear a scream.
Really?
We tried walking them. They didn't even have their walkie on. And at one point, I like jokingly like said, "I'm like, you can't ignore me. Like, answer the freaking call." And I feel like the ghost on that first floor kind of like took it as a challenge, because after that door slam and after that moment, so many things popped out for us. Like, we had someone giggling and what sounded like a chair moving when we were trying to go up the stairs. We were hearing our friends talk, but they were nowhere near, which was really weird because someone said that my voice was mimicked that night, and I like to think that my voice is very distinct, so that is disgusting.
That's super
if that's the case.
That's super interesting.
See, I've thought my voice has gotten mimicked at locations too.
I feel like as well.
Like, I feel like it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or when it
my
said
friend
your
Reagan
name
just said
to
she
you.
heard mine. We were at Billy Creek in Indiana. She went to the bathroom. It's kind of like, think of like a big summer camp in a sense. Like, there's a shower house. Like, it is a haunted village. Because it's just made of like all these old historical buildings that were brought here to make. Like,
land is just as charged as buildings is.
Yeah. She said that when she went to the bathroom by herself, she thought I was walking into the area, or I was outside waiting for her, because she heard not only my laugh, but she heard my voice. And then when she walked outside, she heard absolutely nothing. And when she took a few steps, she heard gravel, like someone walking on the little gravel patch behind her. I was like,
and you know how distinct that sound is. We've had the same thing happen when we were in the woods.
On our haunted forest video, we capture that noise of gravel moving by us.
Oh.
And it's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
I can see straight down the fucking trail. We have 12 lights going right now. Like, we do our diligence trying to make sure we see everything.
Like, it sounds like we got it felt like we got rushed by something like out of the woods. It was crazy.
There also was a possibility that we caught a big cat growling at us in the woods that we just didn't hear, but like it also could have been something paranormal, because like we legitimately did our diligence and like looked around pretty hard and there was nothing out there. It was pretty still. So it was it was a weird one. And the whole time we were getting a bunch of really, really good responses.
Billy Creek, though, I really want to go there.
Yeah, I've also heard
Billy
of it.
Creek
Just
is
like
fun.
just a teeny tiny bit.
I really want to go there.
It's a fun time.
You've been to a lot of really cool places.
Yeah,
like I'm
I've
jelly.
been very, very fortunate. When I started this whole vlog out, I really just wanted to go to like some of like my top bucket list places, and within probably 6 months of starting, I had
just started checking them off.
I had Waverly Hills booked, and that's actually how I met my friend Steve.
That's awesome.
And because of him, I help out with his event company. So
that's so awesome. It just goes to show.
I was like merch person, so
networking. Networking is so great.
And it's really weird because Steve and I are on the opposite sides of the state.
Yep.
But our paths should have crossed at least 4 times before they did.
See, that's not just a coincidence. That's a
synchronicity.
Synchronicity. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, because I was gonna struggle for at least 10 minutes with that.
I would have never came up with that.
I heard it at the Ghostorama event we were just at the Bell Mansion, which that place is really cool. I will say that
that's been on my list too.
So cool.
It is.
It's
really
amount of times that I've been in Indiana. I've yet to see
it's immaculate.
We went there completely blind. We didn't know any of the history or anything. We're like, we're just gonna learn about it while we're there. It'll be more interesting that way.
And holy fuck,
I was blown away, like knowing that it was a funeral parlor for so long, and like knowing like that death was its
like
business.
Johnny Dillinger's homeboy got shot down the road and they morticianed him there. Like it's fucking, it was crazy. Like I walked into their like still like pretty much original mortician's room with like the body wash thing and like like all the embalming tools and stuff are like in the cases and things. Well, I was like standing there by myself. I was like, this is really cool. And I was like standing next to a jug that was next to a picture of Johnny Dillinger's homeboy that was just rattled with bullets. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I was reading it. It sounded like somebody started flicking the fucking jug. And I was like,
oh,
the building's shaking. No, it wasn't. I was like, that can't be happening. Like, I'm just in here by myself.
We had
like,
paranormal experiences all day there.
It was awesome.
That's fun.
Yeah, the place is really awesome.
I feel like a lot of places, especially like businesses or like hospitals or something like that, they're more active during the day because you get that residual energy.
Then other places are the ass opposite. I get that same feeling. I'm so glad that you say that because Asher Walton House in Indiana, we went there last year, right? About last year now. It'd be coming up in August again, actually, now I think about it. Like a year to the date, sometime in August. But it was like during the day, it was just dead, it felt flat. Like it's weird how
it was happens. Literally, it felt like nobody was home.
And then when
we walked in, like it felt like we had just walked into our own house,
and then we just took over.
Nobody had been there in a long time. Like it was just this weird feeling. And then we started thinking about it. We're like, nice August day, nobody would be in the house. They would be outside in the town doing something.
And then it was like dinner time. We were sitting on the porch, and when we went back inside, it felt like the presence was there then. It's like when you get in tune with your like empathic side sometimes, if you can just feel that like heaviness and that lightness sometimes. Like I don't know, it's Riley always calls it the electric cobweb stuff, and I love that because it really does feel like that sometimes when you walk into a room.
You walk into I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, or like you walk into a room and you remember going in the room earlier and breathing fine, but now you walk into the room and it's like
harder breath.
It's like a tightness in your chest, and you're just like, what the? Why is it so hard to breathe in here?
Am I an anxious bitch?
Yeah, am I me?
Like, that's all I always like ask myself, like, am I in my own head right now? Like, is this me right now?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really think you just let that thought just go away, and then you just feel that, and then you'll see it go and come and go, and it's like, oh.
Prime example, over the weekend when we were at the Bell Mansion, the third floor didn't open until later in the afternoon. But the first time we all went up there, almost all at the same time complained about how hard it was to breathe upstairs.
And then the door where the lift for the elevator lift thingy, their original one.
Oh, okay.
Like the doors, like not the inner door, but the outer door, like the wood frame was like clunk, 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 clunk. And we like kind of looked at each other. We're like, what the fuck was that? And
I didn't hear it. I was in a different room.
Well, we were trying to like figure out what was going on. And like, I opened it and I went in there and I was like, there's no wind in here. Like everything's shut. Like this is that there should be no reason for this.
Old spirits.
It's like gang violence.
I love them. I love these two.
They're amazing.
The buttery smooth voice. If you don't make it,
if you don't know, now you know.
If you know, you gotta go back and find it. It's that buttery smooth. It's that goodness. That's all I gotta say. But you know what I mean? Like it's just little things like that where I couldn't explain what happened, and we were all standing there and looked at each other and we're like, all right, let's debunk it really quick. Well, we all tried for like 4 or 5 to 10 minutes and like nothing else. We couldn't have it. Nothing moved it. You jump on the floor, nothing moves. Okay, like I guess like something was either moving through or coming out. Like I don't know. Like it's one of those things, you just can't explain those.
And that's the beauty of it. And that's my favorite part because it just leaves you wanting more, and it just leaves you with more questions until next time.
It's the best. Like you can't, like it's injecting it straight into my like the happy receptors. And I know it's like a weird thing because like we're talking to dead people, but where else are you gonna get like going on vacations to these places that are just etched out of history, that are just still just stuck in their own times?
It's like time traveling.
Exactly. And you walk into a location that's still active in its time frame too. Like,
yep. I know. I love going into the places where, as eerie as it is, it just feels like everyone picked up and left, and you're just kind of being invasive in a little bit. ISS definitely feels like that.
Yeah.
Mainly because they were like everything was just left there
I
from
mean,
their very
people,
last
yeah,
day.
and people live there their whole lives.
Exactly.
Like
We were like
that's the
opening,
sketchy part.
yeah, we were just like opening drawers and like we were finding like letters that people
I was
wrote
gonna
and like
say, like, I'm
saved.
pretty sure when I watched the Ghost Bros video, like, not too long ago, they were opening, like, the cabinets where
Mm-hmm.
it was, like, people's full-on fucking records
Oh
still.
yeah.
Like, you could
Oh
find them
yeah.
in their houses if you needed to.
We went there for the first time in the summer of 21, and I will never forget walking into that morgue and seeing that entire cooler filled from shelf to like from top to bottom of everyone's medical history. It
That's
was
nuts.
That's wild.
so against
It's
HIPAA,
eerie.
but it was
HIPAA.
so weird.
Fucking HIPAA doesn't love
Yeah,
that at all.
right? No. And like the state was just like they were supposed to take care of it, and like now I think like
It's
they
just
are trying to like take care of it, which is good. Hopefully they're taking care of it in the right way. But it was the eeriest thing to see, just everyone, and even like in the back laundry house when we went, if you go in there, there are nothing like it is just a sea of old suitcases and old
it's just
shoes and
full of
old
fucking
belongings
shit.
just
It's so
scattered
wild.
everywhere. And it was just eerie because you're just like, oh, so everyone like really did just pick up and leave here, and they had everything scattered.
Yep. I mean, it's and it like there's nothing like it. Nothing else that you're ever going to do
Yeah,
is
I'd
like
say the only
this.
place that we were really like that was like Eloise Asylum was kind of like that in
Yeah,
some parts
some of
of
the
the
rooms were just completely just fucking. But there you go. There it is.
papers everywhere and didn't make any sense. It
Yeah,
was
like
just
old
like,
X-rays are still like in the like they have
Yep.
like a lot of the cooler stuff down in the lobby areas.
Like I get like keeping some things, but like just to like see some of those like in my head they're relics.
Right.
Just because I know they're gonna be forgotten to time, and like I said, it's such a HIPAA violation, but it's so interesting to know about people this way.
I know.
It's just a shame how some of these places are getting taken care of,
It's
especially when it
always
comes to like this.
it's always a tragedy too when like some of these places will get the like the violations where like, oh, the fire code isn't up to snuff, so we aren't going to allow anybody to do anything in here, and then they unfortunately won't have enough revenue to fix those things, and then that's when it's like either it gets sold to the wrong person
Yeah.
and the director doesn't like the paranormal stuff, or they
yeah,
just
and then
want
they
to
tear
build
it down and
something.
build something new.
And
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know, I just
That's
it
what
seems to
happens all
happen
over.
a lot. Yeah.
It's happening
Yeah.
all.
The
Or they
place we were
make
just in
attractions.
last week. The place we were just in last week was pretty much the last weekend of ghost hunting events there. At the iconic Mineral Springs Hotel in Alton, Illinois. It fell into a new owner. He is like buying up all this massive property in
Yep.
Illinois, and he claims that he didn't know paranormal events happened in that building, even though that there's like an oddities museum in there. So it's
Right.
like, all right, all
Like
right.
you're
Um
bullshitting.
like like I understand. He wants to gut it and like make it into like the spa and condos thing, but Alton is a like Mark Twain said, Alton is a very small and dismal town, and no one in that area wants to change.
Right.
There are a lot of things in that area that have been run down, and people who have been run out because of like the gentrification of it, and it's very unfortunate that an iconic piece of history, not only to Alton, Illinois, and like to the Mississippi River region, um, but like in the paranormal in general, like
Yeah, it's just
it's
another
heartbreaking.
loss. Yeah. It kind of sucks too, because like around here, like luckily they're still preserved really well, but a lot of the museums and the like older attractions around here that have been around since the inception of like our hometown, they just, for whatever reason, unless you have a very substantial following, you're plugged into the right circles, they just don't care to even entertain the
A lot of
idea.
places they'll be like, "We got our team."
And
Yep.
Like,
it's so unfortunate.
you're the only ones that are
Buffalo's
allowed
kind
to
of like that
investigate,
too.
and they don't release anything on it.
Mm-mm.
Like no public videos, like no like documentary or
And
anything. It's like what? Then what are
you
you
vet,
even doing
you
it
can vet
for?
who you let like put videos out, I guess, but like realistically, like we've always been like the proprietors where it's like history comes very, very, very first.
Hmm.
Because if you get the history, like correct, then you'll see like the building will speak for itself, and if it follows the history, then like, wow, what a fucking time to be alive that is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a bummer to see the way things are handled, because even in Buffalo, I try to talk about all the haunts here as much as I can,
Mm,
and try to like mix it in with all my traveling, but there are so many locations here that are so, what's the word? Um very team oriented.
yeah,
They're very territorial for some reason,
yeah, they got their
and
circle and they're
it's very weird because me and my friend Amanda, we were actually doing a Buffalo chapter to this Pittsburgh paranormal company that we used to work with,
mm.
and trying to get events out here was an absolute nightmare because people were so territorial of it, and they were like, "We want our events," and it's like, I get that, but like, also,
Like,
like, this
when
If
will
we
we
company
work,
totally get
has
$1 million?
if we
people.
work together, it works better.
Like,
It,
I
Teamwork
want to
makes
know
the
when we
dream
were
work,
told
baby.
that we get the big golden check when we show them the best paranormal evidence. Like, when was this established? Apparently, that's why we need to be territorial or something.
I mean, come on, a dude just freaking got photos of a thylacine, and he's not gonna make $1 off of it.
Yep, straight up dinosaurs.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
Hey,
the story
if
of
you
my
didn't know
life.
about that thylacine thing that came out
It's
today,
actually
it's crazy.
wild.
Did it just come out today?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh,
Forrest
I've been off of
Galante.
my phone all day.
Oh yeah, do you
My
know who
desk
Forrest
job is
Galante is?
Get them
no.
fucking photos up, and then I want to know though, like, where would you go if you had like a free access pass? You know, nowhere is too taboo or off limits to go investigate. You know, where like anywhere in the world is even fine. Where would
Dracula's
you go?
Castle.
Really?
Yep, I actually had a trip booked to go see Dracula's Castle.
No shit.
Right before the war in Ukraine broke out.
Ah, that's so rough.
Yeah. That was the second trip that got taken away from me because in 2019 I spent New Year's Eve in London. So I
Hmm.
spent like a few days before in Dublin for the first time, and
Oh,
then
fucking rights.
on New Year's Eve I went to London, celebrated there, and then I stayed in London for a little bit before coming home, and I booked another trip to go to London, or to go to Ireland, and like this time we go to Dublin and like down south and like go over to the west, and
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I can hit up so many spooky spots. Like, this is it. And then
Yeah.
COVID happened. And I
And
was like,
then shut it down.
I was just like, come like March 13th. I was like, so you think like this trip is still gonna happen?
We
And it
can't
didn't. It
fly.
didn't. It sucked. But I completely understand. And the tour company that I went with, they sent me an email probably like that September and was like,
Yeah.
hey, what about Dracula's Castle? And I was like, say less.
So, like, when we going?
I was just like, yeah, like say less. And mainly because when I grew up, there was a show called Scariest Places on Earth.
Hell
It
yeah.
is one of my favorite shows in the world. I remember watching it around like 8, 9 years old and just being completely scared shitless. But there was a family from Buffalo that went over to Romania to investigate Dracula's castle, and that whole episode is probably like one of the few episodes to stick with me, and that's all I want is my little scariest places on earth moment.
Just get a little piece of castle. I'll be happy.
I just want to see it. I just want to. The ghosts don't even have to prove that they exist. It'll be like the whole like Waverly Hills thing, because when I
Yeah.
first went to Waverly, I was like, the ghosts don't even have to prove to me. Like, I know in my heart that this place is haunted. So like, if it's a quiet night, I'm perfectly okay just to be hanging out here. So it'd be like the
Right.
same thing.
I agree with that too. Like, it's fine. If it's
It's
a quiet night, I'm still in a fucking
yeah,
sick ass place.
exactly.
I feel that. You never know what's gonna happen. Something might happen. Something might not happen.
Right?
I mean, even a little bit of evidence is still some type of evidence.
There you go.
As funny as it is. Make a short out of it. If we're gonna be that picky about how we make videos.
I mean, I get it. All I do is make Instagram reels and somewhat on TikTok. So
That are phenomenal. So
thank
like
you.
there's that.
All right, if you haven't seen it,
Oh dear God.
Isn't that look fucking crazy?
It
But
just
like
looks like
that's
a fox.
it's
I mean,
it is kind of, but it's a marsupial like canine like creature that actually exists. Like it's considered extinct now, but
yeah, it was
a guy
supposed to be
took these
extinct.
photos of it, and Forrest Galante interviewed him.
Huh. Might have to deep dive this one in a minute. Oh, look at that one.
Yeah, like it's super interesting because like not only has it happened
It kind of
before.
looks like bad taxidermy. I'm not even gonna lie.
That one does. Well, also the thing about fucking StreamYard is they only let us do it in 720p. So like when it isn't, it's like good quality.
And they're already
it does
like
look pretty fucking crystal cool.
I mean, it's fine.
And I think it is off a trail cam,
it'll be bad
No, it's
taxidermy
off a iPhone 11.
It's off an iPhone 11.
In the dark though.
That's a good point.
Oh, so this is like before night mode.
Yeah, he had the old school phone with the fucking flashlight. But still, like, I mean, there's been
this is the best evidence that's ever
animals.
been presented for this animal in I don't even know, since the 80s.
Like, well, like let's also deep dive a little bit into like the fact that like titanoboas are still around. Like if you look into like the Congo and you like start looking into some of the videos that come up of like just massive ass snakes that people see just like sliming their way through the Congo jungles.
Here's the last one that ever lived.
Yeah, so that's what they do look like.
Okay.
But yeah, them bitches were supposed to be extinct.
Yeah, their jaw is like crazy because they're a marsupial.
That's not at all.
But yeah, the Australians killed them off.
Huh, what a shame. And they couldn't kill off those weird ass spiders?
Yeah, they picked the wrong one there, I think.
That's my thing is like, can we get rid of the mosquitoes and the spiders?
I mean, the spiders help because they like help the mosquito thing. But
but like
not the ones in Australia. Why are
I'd
they
rather
that
fucking
big?
take a scorpion than a fucking spider. I don't know what like.
I mean, Australia's just kind of out of luck, man. They got everything that sucks.
They do have everything that sucks.
They got all kinds of nope ropes that'll end your life.
Like, you know, like all right, so other cultures and like how they go about like abandoned things, you know, or like haunted attractions, you know, I always wonder, like in Japan, it's always very interesting to me where there's like just schools in the mountains and shit where they just fucking left everything. And that's because it's super expensive to throw away your stuff in Japan. So it begs the question, you know, like if you go stay like a couple of nights in these places, like, are you going to get residual energy? Because these small villages where all these abandoned like places are, like those were inhabited by the villagers for like their entire generations and lives. Like I couldn't imagine that it doesn't have something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me and my friend Deanna were actually just talking about like all the Japan urban legends because they're so interesting. We were watching a bunch of bando videos and like just people like exploring and stuff. And
I love doing that too.
We both said like, if we were to ever go to Japan, like I'm not messing with this. Like I'm not messing with the lore. I'm not messing like going into places I shouldn't be. For some reason, the Japanese folklore and just scares the shit out of me. Probably because it's like legit.
Right. Well, it's same with like the Native American lore. Like I put so much more stock into that shit than I do anything real religious. I mean, fuck like you can't tell me that most of these accounts of these like calls in the woods of like people screaming and like little girls like calling for help. Those aren't like legitimate skinwalker encounters. And there's like legit videos of this stuff happening and like all these accounts, like I don't know.
I always said that I wanted to get a cabin in Appalachia for a weekend just to test this theory.
It's a different
world. I'm not
world.
gonna like open up the door and like open up the windows. I just want to see if it's real. I just want to see if I'll experience something. Like we were at Woodlawn Estates in Maysville, Kentucky, so it's like right on the river, right on the Ohio River, and they were even saying like, yeah, this is in Appalachia. So I'm like, if we don't get any ghosts, like this is my dream coming true. I'm at a haunted house. And then she was telling us that people have seen this man standing right by a tree out the back door. And of course the back door doesn't shut all the way. So like they'll hear what sounds like someone trying to open up the screen door. And I'm just like, I want that to happen. I want that to happen. I'm gonna piss my pants if it happens, but I want that to happen.
Oh yeah, like let me get my fucking my two deadly weapons ready. Like fuck
these guns. Like
I can't
so
even know.
Intimidating. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Like I've heard too many accounts of like if you go deep enough into the mountains, like there's people that haven't seen, like anybody that's this type of generation for decades. Where it's just so secluded that they just live off the land and they've been touched by government in fucking 200 years. It seems like it's like that's insane to me, and and I'm not even joking. Like that is a legit thing.
Well, and it kind of like I don't know if you guys follow it, but one of like the theories that I'm kind of on board with is all the missing people are in the cave system. And I know that's like kind of like a hot take to have, but like if you line up
that mountain wants
where
blood.
some of people like are with like the missing person map, I mean, it could just be like something that was just created on the internet. But I mean, like I believe it because people go hiking, they don't know where they're hiking.
So easy to throw bodies down a cave shaft and people would never find them. I know it's a fuck up hot take, but like
I know, right?
But like realistically, you know what I mean? Like sometimes
and like the cave system is where the cryptids are, so
we're just people are out there killing people, feeding these monsters in the cave systems this whole time.
Or it's just like the fact that like maybe
they're getting a taste for human blood and they're starting to like it.
Or I know this is also going to sound like another hot take, but like whatever like type of cryptid does like live in the mountains out there, whether it be a Mothman or like a Yeti or like a Bigfoot type, like.
I don't think they got Yetis in that.
I said Yeti because I couldn't think of another one off the top of my head.
Tommy knockers.
But like maybe they are fucking like cannibalistic and they do eat people, and people are legitimately just getting snatched and drugged in there.
I mean, you never know.
That would be fucking raw as hell.
I just think it's more like along of like people going like spelunking or like caving, whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah, people get fucked up all the time.
And just like not realizing where they're going type of thing. And like maybe they are going cave searching and they follow a voice that they shouldn't be following.
Yeah.
And like that leads to that. Like it's just like that type of stuff.
A soul for a soul.
Yeah.
The like what if the mountain's calling them in itself and they
haunted caves is just like the creepiest thing ever. Cause like I just like I've never actually been in a real like cave. So like thinking about it in my head.
Yeah, I've never been in one either.
Being in a cave, knowing there's nobody down there and it's miles of cave, and then hearing a voice come back at you has to be so fucking terrifying.
I've seen the video like of like the chain where it's like there's only one chain fucking crazy. Like one of the cave systems that's swinging by the rest are just standing still, and there's no explanation for it, and it's like the dude is just like an urban explorer. What the fuck is that?
I can't. I went to the Mammoth Cave system when I went to Kentucky for the.
I was saying, isn't that in Kentucky? Yeah.
I had like, I call this like my day of tuberculosis.
That's a hot take.
My day with TB.
Mainly because I went to the Mammoth Cave system because that was technically where they had the first sanatorium. Oh shit, what was his name? Dr. John Kroger. He basically created wanted to make like a spa system down there, and
let's just put the dead bodies down there instead.
Yeah, right. So he wanted to he knew he had tourism when he bought the caves and stuff, and he overheard some of his guests and his workers down there say that they felt better after like long-term exposure to the cave air. So that got him thinking, and he was also a TB survivor. So he was like, let's test out this like weird theory.
I'm gonna live down here.
And so he basically kind of like coerced a couple of his patients to fund this experiment.
Damn.
And he made 8 wooden cabins and 2 stone cabins that the stone cabins are still down there.
Damn straight they are.
Yeah, it was one of the coolest things. Like I made like a beeline right to there. I was like, I'm just here for the caves.
Where it's like you guys are just showing this off like this is fucking haunted.
Yeah.
Like what do you mean?
They have tours where they like talk about like all the ghost stuff and like how they still hear coughing down there, and because like 3 people actually died down there. So 2 people tried to end the experiment early, and he only managed to like convince 1 to stay. So 1 marched back up to the surface, and then after 3 people died, they laid him out on execution rocks, and he marched them up to the surface. And like ever since that day, he didn't talk about it. There was no findings ever posted about it. Like he just tried to wipe it from absolutely everything.
Yeah, because that looks bad on your record.
Yeah, because
fucked up.
Oh, yeah, I can turn my mic up, sorry. So he basically just wiped everything, and within 7 months from the experiment ending, everyone from tuberculosis passed.
That's fucking...
everyone, even him, he passed from tuberculosis and like the soot in their system and like
That's
how damp
nuts.
the cold air was.
I was gonna say it must have absolutely ravaged them.
Yeah, I mean, like
That it did.
technically, he did help the tuberculosis age as much as of a failure that it turned out to be.
Yeah,
He
but I mean,
helped
it's
us
such a
realize
shock.
that we needed like fresh air and actual sunlight to like
Yeah,
help this, and like maybe the doctors who like seemed quack for like thinking fresh air and sunlight would help this whole like ravish disease. He was kind of like he helped them prove that theory in a sense because the
right.
damp cold cave air isn't working.
Crazy.
Yeah, the must ain't doing it.
The like more you think of like all the terrible things we did in medical
How much it
science
advanced things.
but what it took to learn that
Mhm.
wasn't going to work and that was the wrong way, but it helped us
Yeah.
I mean,
figure
look
out
at
the
how
right
they
way.
disposed of people that had the plague. They just fucking threw them in holes and burned them. And that
Right?
was how they were like, this is how we get rid of this. It was
This is how it
primitive,
ends.
but it solved it.
I mean,
like
freaking moldy bread. That's how they came up with antibiotics.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is actually a good point. Like, it's some of those like crazier thoughts that just, I don't know. Maybe that is what's it's gonna take to like solve the paranormal aspect of like what the energy is that we're seeing. Maybe it's not like an electricity per se, but it's like
There is something that happens.
like maybe like
when someone passes,
something.
they've measured, what is it, 28 grams
23, 21,
leaving
something.
the body.
I was gonna
28.
say, I'm terrible
some
at math,
type
so
of
you guys are
grams.
losing me.
No, I was gonna like absolutely abscond us for this because we say it
28.
wrong every fucking time, and then it's like I think it's one of those. I think Riley is right, but I don't fucking know. I
I
usually
hate
say it
math,
wrong.
so it's fine. I won't fact.
But yeah,
check
there's
you.
a research study 21 of a guy who basically measured the weight of people as they expired, and 21 grams would leave the body every time someone died.
Yeah.
Essentially,
And they
short
they
story.
also like assess like like for the bodily fluids that would secrete when you die, and like
Yeah.
basically every single time, like they were, and this was an experiment that was like legitimately run on also I think like TB patients and people that were like fatal, like not fatally, but like mortally like not for
terminally
this
ill.
world. Yeah.
Huh,
And
I'm actually gonna have to look into that. That's
it's
so
yeah, like
interesting.
go to Creepy Confidential's episode. Definitely, it's definitely
I
worth
will.
it.
She tells it the best.
Yeah, she's
Love it.
all of the episodes that I've ever heard from that podcast. A fucking one. Plus, I got to investigate with her at Post Town Elementary, and I got to with Ghost Dog as well, and they're just the best.
How did you like Post Town?
I loved it. I thought the
Okay.
place is really cool. Like that, the 2 nights that I investigated, which were back to back, it was like really fucking active and crazy, and like a bunch of tripwires and a bunch of crazy shit happened the first night. And the second night was a little bit slower, but it was a lot different activity. So like we were getting a lot different types of stuff happening. So I was like, this is really wild. Like I don't know how to explain any of this at all.
Yeah. We ended up having, when we went in March, we had a kind of like a quiet night. The boys ended up, because we split up.
Yeah.
The boys ended up having like all this activity while like us girls were like trying to have an Estes session in the doll room. Like, okay, I'm not hearing anything. Like it was so dull for us. But like around 3:00 when we started making like funny TikToks,
Is when shit happens.
Yeah. There was one where we were doing like a Scooby-Doo run because we realized that the rooms can connect, and I was like, hey guys, let's live out my lifelong dream of being a Scooby-Doo character and just entertain me on this. And when we were like trying to set up the shots, we heard a little girl like yell to us down like
fuck.
Because where were we? We were kind of like facing the mean teacher's hallway.
Yep.
We heard them down that like weird hallway, and it just sounded like a little girl going yoo-hoo. Like I'm just like,
really?
yeah.
That's crazy.
And everyone kept like looking at me. I was like, yeah, I heard that. I'm just trying to ignore it. I have a TikTok to do. And then like later that night, because we ended up staying there in the room that they have.
Yep, so did we.
My cot got shook in the middle of the night.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I think we laid to bed around like 6 a.m. after we were all like just kind of like it was all said and done.
Like zonk.
Yeah. it felt like I was drifting out to sleep. And you know how like your body has like that weird twitch that happens sometimes?
Yeah, but
It
like,
felt like that, but I didn't move. And I
yeah,
couldn't
like
say anything
what?
because everyone else was sleeping. And I'm just like, all right, this is
Huh.
fun. Like, this is fun.
See, I
Just
had a
gonna.
cord that was ripped out of that room that was like plugged in. I had taken because we had got the room to ourselves basically because they were gracious enough. POV was gracious enough to let us stay there the whole weekend, and I just like put all my camera equipment out and just put my cords all in a pile. Well, it was the adapter that goes into my phone for the mic that we had that I attached to our whole gimbal shit. And I just like looked around and I was like, what the fuck, dude, it's gone. Well, I went back to where we were the night before, which was in the where Amos in his little cubby downstairs
Mm-hmm.
by the auditorium and the gymnasium, and he was like back in there, like in that little dank room. Well, fucking shit. It was sitting on top, like the first step on like the landing part when you like go back there, just right there. So right before you walk down the
Mm,
stairs. And I
that's
was
so
like,
interesting.
I was the second one to go out these stairs, and there was four more people behind me. Somebody would have picked that up. Like you had to
Right?
look to see and where you were walking. Like there's no fucking way.
That's so interesting. I know.
Yeah,
I think we're
someone would
going back
definitely.
sometime this year, but I don't know
Definitely.
if I'm gonna go back with Haunted Nights or if I'm just gonna book another private. But I absolutely loved it.
Private's the way to go because if
Yeah.
that place is big enough to where if you get it to your whole self, like, and it's quiet enough, you can hear
Mm-hmm.
everything from one side to the other.
Oh, I don't know. Even just in the morning walking around because, I'm so awful and I forget to record. Anytime I'm like actually like investigating, I love to live in the moment.
I gotta get reined
Um,
in.
I like I I rather not be on my phone. So like in the morning, I woke up and
Oh.
I think I was awake before everyone and I'm just like, "Oh, let me just go around and like get my last B-roll." And even in the morning, we were hearing stuff like I thought my friend Steve was up top cuz he texted me like, "Hey, I'm walking around like I don't want to scare you." And I was like, "Okay, like I'm in Emily's staircase or Sarah's
Hmm.
staircase." And I heard him walking upstairs and I was just like, "Hey Steve," and like he never said anything. And I was like, "Kimball, is that you?" And like no one ever said anything, but you could just hear people walking up there. I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then I
This
think
is
like
this.
this is great. It's gonna die.
See, and it's like I don't know. Like there was so many like just like random things. Like in the basement, I honest to God, the most I would say iconic, like crazy event that I didn't get on video because my phone had just died. And I don't know, maybe like the spirit that was down there with us, which we think it was the elemental that stays there named Johnny.
Oh,
And
okay.
like Ernie and I like almost like confirmed it because like a little bit before that we were having like responses that correlated a little bit to it. Well, we have this cat ball that the fucking thing isn't super like it's sensitive enough, but it's not. So like I was like tapping it, it wasn't going off, and then when I picked it up, it was going off. I was like, okay, cool. Like maybe if I clap hard enough, it'll go off, but it was going off on its own. So I was like, it can't just be the vibration in the floor because I was stomping next to it and it wasn't going off.
Huh.
So then we were in the dry goods room. That's what it was called. That
Mm-hmm.
I was moseying my way around. So hard to figure out what that room was called. So we have a REM pod that just it never goes off. And this was the first time that I personally have ever had it go off was like right outside the door there. So then we moved into that room after that. And I watched the temperature as the cat ball was going off in one of the cracks too. So it wasn't just rolling around, like just
Mm-hmm.
going off, doing the whole sequence, sitting there for a second, and then going off again while we're getting like puncture and scratch and shit on the Ovilus and other spirit talker app and
That's
stuff.
always
It's
fun.
like, okay, like this is escalated quite fucking hard. Like I'm not claiming demon, but then I watched the REM pod and the smell meter that we have just fucking start climbing just one dot at a time,
Hmm.
and it was slow until it got all the way to the top and it just stayed there like someone was grabbing the antenna. And then all of a sudden I was watching it and then the backlight on it turned off and then the whole thing just shut off. And I was like, what the fuck? And like I walked up to it and I picked it up, I looked at it, and the temperature said 112 degrees. And I was
Okay.
like, I'm fucking sweaty, but I'm also just like a hot, tall fucking, like heat
Mess.
box. It's just a mess all the time. And I was like, that's weird. I broke Riley's REM pod. Fuck. So I turned it on and off, and I set it back down. The backlight would not come back on. And I was like, well, what the fuck? Like, there doesn't say the battery's dead or anything on it. I couldn't get the REM pod feature to come back on, but the temperature was now like reading 60 something, which was accurate. So I put it down, and then I walked away, and we were doing our thing, and all of a sudden we also had like an Estes method going, and somebody said like devil or demon or something, and I was like, well, that's funny. And I looked back at the REM pod, and I like picked it up. I looked at it again. It said like 102, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna turn you off. Like, I don't know what's going on. I think it's broken. And then I called Riley next day, and I was like, I have bad news, dude. But then it worked fine. Like, I tried it the next day, and everything worked completely fine. And the battery worked for like another 4 investigations.
That's so interesting, because when we were in the doll room, I knew that my spirit box, like my beloved Oh Reliable, it was kind of on the fritz. But like even before that, it really wasn't like acting up. It kind of like acted up when I was at home getting ready for the investigation. So I was like, okay, it's fine. Like, we'll see how this goes this weekend, and then like I'll just get another one if it's really time for it.
Right.
When we were in the doll room and I was trying to do an Estes session, I changed the batteries. I shook the thing, like I like made sure like everything was like intact with it.
I did my fucking diligence.
I did, and like it still wouldn't turn on. Like I had to use a friend's, like, and then my headphones wouldn't even turn on.
Yeah,
which
it's
was
electrical
really weird.
little like anomalies that fucking drive me insane, but it happens.
Exactly. And then like when we were at Woodlawn the next day, everything worked perfectly fine.
Yep,
like,
and you had no hiccups whatsoever.
Yeah.
We've had that happen.
Like I had to like charge my headphones again.
Not working.
But
like, that's like to be expected.
Yeah, everything drained super fast. I was like, what is going on? Like, this never happens.
There's like this, if you watch our forest video, there's a moment where my camera does this weird like glitch thing that we can't explain. Like, how does it? It's like it like freezes almost, and like
it like it like skips almost. But like I don't know. I even know how to explain it because I've never seen anything happen like this. We've also had like a picture duplicate itself, but like rip itself, like somebody had take a film reel while it was playing and then fucking rip the film.
So we took a photo at Eloise Asylum, and I was scrolling through the photos, and then they like refreshed, and I had a new photo in my camera roll, and it was a photo that I didn't like take.
Yeah, and we just
it was a photo that we had taken, but it was like all like messed up.
Yeah, and I watched, like my wife took the photo too because Riley handed her phone. And me and him like did our fucking dumb shit where we just like we're standing in front of it, and then all of a sudden like I saw her go click and then hand it back to us. So there was no possibility, that she like double tapped that bitch fast enough, and then for whatever reason it like duplicated and like
still don't know how to explain it because it just showed up in my camera roll like it.
That's so interesting. Anything that can like manipulate your phones like kind of like gives me the creeps. Like with that or like the phantom phone calls that happen, and you just hear like
those are
this,
creepy.
Like static or like reverb on like the receiver end. It's like one of the weirdest things. I hope it never happens, but like it kind of does.
I want it to be honest.
I got a story for you. So we investigated this tattoo shop.
Oh, that's fun.
Recently she showed us this audio recording that they have of a voicemail that was left on their phone overnight of a like male's voice,
like drunk mumbling is almost kind of what it seemed like, but it was like that old style, like like, but he had like the old draw, like it was hard to explain. And then she also had a video on her phone of like the music said it was playing Black Bear Radio on Pandora, and we were watching it. And you could hear fucking like Frank Sinatra playing through the speakers.
Jazz music. Like, because there used to be a jazz hall.
And it was also a brothel at one point, and they like gambled in there and shit. And it was like basically like,
super weird
thing. Like it was like
it was not playing the song that was saying it was playing at all.
Gross. That is just gross.
Yeah, that place is crazy.
I think if I were to ever like get a voicemail like that, I would want to delete it immediately, but I know I couldn't. I would be I'd be so creeped out.
It was creepy. Well, and then when we caught stuff, it was like just as like I was blown away because like it was just like she said there was like sacred geometry that was in the walls that was painted over, and there was knickknacks and stuff from upstairs that were just in the wall still. So like there was like a lot of residual, like I guess you could say like anything from that time era that was just frozen in there.
And this was at Eloise? Oh no,
no, this was at the tattoo shop. Just like a little hole in the wall that like a friend of ours was like, I am the body piercer there, and we have a bunch of shit happen, and I know you guys do this stuff.
They have activity there every single day.
Yeah, and we also left a recorder there on accident, apparently, but we didn't.
We didn't.
We put it all away, and something took it out of our fucking Pelican case,
and they found it on the table the next day.
And it was like you could see in there the security camera.
We have video of
there.
us leaving, and it's not on the counter.
And then when they went back the next day, it was just there. You know, and it's like it's this shit like that.
It could be a port. Did you ever hear those? Where it's just like something that magically appears out of thin air. I feel like I had that happen yesterday with me because I walked to my car yesterday on my lunch break because I work in a school for my day job. So I walked to my car, sat in my car. I reached over to grab my like radio thing because I'm old school, so I still use my cigarette lighter as like a Bluetooth thing.
FM transmitter.
Yeah. You could
I got one of them.
Rip that out of my cold dead
Shout
hand.
out to Rye for giving it
so
to me.
Much. And I reached over to grab it, and then when I like sat back in my seat, I went to like go get my gear shift, and I looked down. There was a penny on my leg.
Yeah, like where the fuck that come from?
What?
There was a penny face down on my leg. It wasn't in my pockets because it cleared out my pockets.
Yeah.
There was no way it could have like gotten out of like my side legging pocket.
It's also got enough mass to where you'd feel it.
Right.
You know, like hit you.
But like it didn't really hit me. It just like
it was just there.
I just moved and it was there because I was like, what the hell is this? Like, and at one point I picked it up and I was like, oh, what the hell? Like, I was literally, I'm like, I'm wasting so much time on my lunch because of this. Like, what the hell
that's
is
where
happening?
Like that theory of like multiple like dimensions or realities like are like folding on top of each other.
When me and Tommy were looking for the Eddie that fell off
that
shelf.
Fuck, dude, that's right. Riley had the exact same situation happen while we were in the poorhouse in Van Buren County.
So the Eddie device fell off a shelf. And
it was like a bookshelf that was in the middle of the room that I was
obviously would have just been right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to go look for it, and I was feeling around. I checked everywhere, and it wasn't
there. A bunch of lights down there.
I had Tommy come look. He couldn't find it. And then we just were like chatting about things. And I looked again, and it was there. Like right at my feet. It was just the weirdest thing. And we had multiple people look for it, feeling around. We had lights, like it wasn't a very big area that it could have been in.
And like it has that orange case on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
orange.
Say,
like you guys have that orange case, or like sometimes blue.
Yeah, and like I had my fucking gimbal fall on my face. Everything was a hot mess. We were dying of laughter, and they were like looking for, no joke, almost 5 fucking minutes. And then like I laid back down and I was like, guys, you really haven't found it yet? It's got to be right there. And like they like went, no, it's not. And they turned back and it was fucking right there. And it's like, huh?
I still don't know how that even happened. Like,
yeah,
I know for a fact that I looked exactly where it was.
Like it's a big box. Yeah, there's no missing it. Like I was even flabbergasted because I was like, wait.
And it was like it was on too. So like
there was some light to it.
Yeah.
And Tommy and Randy are the most no bullshit kind of people you'll ever meet too, where it's like if I have to say I'll put any money on anybody to not fake anything, it's those two fuckers. For sure. And I mean, like, Tommy looked like absolutely dumbfounded. And we were just like, huh?
It's always the best when the people who are like skeptics and like don't really like kind of believe but like don't really
we believe, but we need to like pump the brakes on a lot of shit.
Yeah. Like when they have that moment where they're just like completely stunned, that's where I'm like, yeah, okay, that's legit then.
Yep. Or like the amount of like EVPs we captured that night. I know he says it all the time, where it's like that night was just, like, it'll live in infamy for us because it was just like we were just talking all night to some little girl, and it was insane how smart and like the amount of just like very clear responses we were
left
getting.
Me shaking, honestly.
Like, yeah, at one point in our video, Riley is like literally like,
yeah, I'm holding the recorder just like shaking.
And it's like, that's it. You can't get anything else anywhere. Like we were saying earlier, like, I don't know, man. Like You tell me. I mean, and granted, it's not like you see on the TV or some of the videos. Like it's a lot slower. Like we'll go that word slower, but it's like fishing. You got to put your line out there. If you don't find anything, you go to the next hole where it's like, all right, there's a cliff face there. So like
it's the drive of knowing that something might happen.
Yeah, that and
exactly.
Locations themselves are just insanely cool, and plus,
right? And to me, it's all about the fun you make, or like it's all about like what.
Yeah, exactly. Like
so, like you could be having like such a quiet night, but like if you're making it fun, you never know what the hell's gonna happen from it.
I mean, shit, like, we were strutting our stuff and we were capturing evidence on accident because we were trying to make a funny like intro video, and it's like, you guys walk at me, I'll walk through you guys, and we'll do like a fucking Zach Baggins.
We'll put the gimbal on track mode, and it'll freaking do all this cool stuff, and
then we don't capture. We capture
a loud freaking bang.
Yep.
I know. It's like
people always love to like, I don't know, try to like take this a little too seriously, and like I get it. We're talking about death. We're talking about a lot of dark history. So like you kind of do have to take it seriously and know who you're talking to and like what stories you're really like kind of diving into. But like 85% of the time we're just hanging out in the dark.
Yeah, I might like fart and then be like,
we kind of like have to like make it fun. And if it wasn't fun, then like this would be boring really quick.
Right. I mean, half the time we're brainstorming how to make a cool video if nothing happens the next hour.
Right. We're all talking.
It's like, yo,
like we all talk theory. We make fun of each other. Like it is. Just
like
we're
all constantly busting jokes out.
Oh yeah, it's
like somebody might ask a dumb question. It's like, what the fuck did you just say?
Or someone says the one wrong word, and then all of a sudden that's the word all night. Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
The bird be the word.
Yep.
My
I'm
thing
usually
is always
the one saying something stupid.
My thing is always like, let me get a hug. Like, come on, let me just get a hug. Like, let's be friends. And then the whole night, it's like, you're gonna get a hug or you're not gonna get a hug. Right? And then every room, can I get a hug now? Like, God damn it!
I just really need a hug.
I know. Mine is always. I always usually because I help my friends out with events, so we usually get there early. So I'll try to do like little walkthroughs of the building and just going, Ghost, I love you.
I'm gonna familiarize myself with you now.
Like, I love you. Like Madison, be like, I love you. Please don't scare me tonight. Like, like whenever I go
fresh
out to
meat.
Like whenever I go out to the homestead, I usually walk in there for tours. I'm like, we're bringing a lot of people in. Please, like, don't kill me.
Don't get
like we're doing tours. And like anytime I go in the basement, because in the basement of the homestead is where I had like one of my most terrifying experiences down there. The maintenance man Chuck, Charlie's fish bag, it's actually a real person who used to reside there. So like we just didn't get the name Chuck and like wrote a whole lore about this guy. He like hangs out in the dark and it's just such an eerie place down there.
Yeah.
So like I was making like B-roll videos. I'm just like, and I think like in the one you could hear me go, please don't bother me, Chuck. I just need a video. Like,
it's gonna be cool. Leave me alone.
Like, it's gonna be super cool, and you're gonna love it. And just please stay over there.
I mean, I find rolling on B-roll and like getting to like do those like little like, oh, I have an idea.
Yep, I caught some of This year is actually like the year of like accidental evidence for me.
I love that so much.
That's awesome.
Because I probably used this clip maybe about like 3 or 4 times in a reel, and I am the person who always has their phone on silent because I don't need sound on my videos when I'm just putting another song or something over it. So
exactly.
I don't listen to it. For some reason, probably about like a couple months ago, I was laying in bed trying to like batch reels, and my finger slipped and turned on the sound to one video, and I was trying to do like a would you rather type of thing, like go up the stairs or down the stairs, and I was like, oh, you locked yourself in a hospital on College Hill for a second, because I didn't want to get scared by my friends, so I was like, oh, let me just go lock myself in an old hospital.
Yeah, why not?
And like once I did, I was like, this is the stupidest idea I've ever had. When I turned the sound on of that video, not only do you hear what sounds like a breath getting taken to me, but other people say it sounds like someone saying "get off your phone" or like my name. You can hear about 4 to 6 high heel steps coming up behind me, and I heard that, and I was like, "Who the fuck was that?"
Like, yeah, like what the fuck? What like, kind of who the fuck?
I was so taken. I don't wear heels, so I know it wasn't me.
Yeah, no way.
No way. I know I was the only person in that hospital because I had the keys on me. I locked myself in that hospital. And the funniest thing is that I had this evidence, and for 10 months, I had this video.
Just sat on it.
Oh yeah. It was great. And like, it was 11 o'clock at night when I saw it, and I texted everyone. I was like, who is this? Who's there? Like, and they're just like, you need to post that immediately. And then there was another one that I found. It's in my Snapchat memories. I was actually trying to find a funny video for someone's birthday. And I know that we kind of just like had this moment with us giggling in the back kitchen area for Wilson Castle. It's this old castle, like private residence in the hills of Vermont.
I love that.
It's one of the spookiest places. And it was, I think when we were there, it was like towards the end of October, so it was freezing. We almost killed ourselves with how hot we made the fire. so like every time someone would turn their flashlight on, I was like, can you like open a door? Like, I want to wake up in the morning. Like, we need to do something. And I was just recording the boys sleeping on the floor, like, of them giggling, because I don't know what they were saying. I was just like, I just have to record this for my friend Josie. And so we were I was listening to it back because I was going to post it for his birthday. And right before it ended, you can hear someone just go, good night, as if they were saying good night. And I sent it to her. I go, who the hell is this?
And
who the hell is this?
And like, I know for a fact too, it's one of those, like, you have to be really close to the mic.
Yeah. And like, yep. It was the weirdest thing because I just remember laying on my cot. Because I was smart and brought my cot, so I didn't have to sleep on the grimy ass floor. And I was like shooting up to the ceiling, and right next to me was like it was a doorway, but there was like a cloth by it, like a curtain, and that led into a butler's pantry. So I'm just like,
don't do it.
Who was in the butler's pantry? And who did I sleep next to all night? Like, it was. I'll like eventually post. I'll eventually post that one. The footstep one is on my reels already.
I love this. Have you been scared out of a location yet? You know, like where you're like, I'm not coming back tonight. Like, I can't.
No,
like, this is fucking sketchy.
Surprisingly,
we haven't yet either.
Me either.
But I have been ran out of a building.
Really?
On an investigation. It was the first time I investigated, the Mid-Orange Correctional Facility, and my friends, like, we had like a flashlight or something in the one doorway because we were all hanging out in the mess hall. And before I could even protest it, they were like, turn the flashlight on and we'll send Courtney down. And I was like, wait, what? And it came on, and I was like, oh no. Like,
no, my name's not Courtney.
why do I have to do this? I didn't agree to this. So I took the DR60 and I walked all the way down there.
Hell yeah.
And it was walking down this like old vocational hallway, so it's like where they had like their trades and stuff.
Yeah.
And I walked past one room and I heard something behind me, and like I should have just kept walking. And minded my own business. But instead I backed up and I was like, oh, let me go look in this room. And I looked in the room. I couldn't even get my foot over the threshold, and all you heard was boots running at me.
Fucking A.
And I was like, I looked in the room was empty. I go, what the fuck? And I jumped back, and
damn.
I ran down the hallway. All my friends could see was this like pink little light just running towards them. And they're like, what's going on? I go, something was running at me. Like, I was just like, I don't want it.
I probably would react the same way, to be completely honest with you.
Because like, phantom footsteps are
that's
terrible.
Scary, especially when it rushes at you, where you like, you can tell, and this is a very real thing. You can gauge distance from sounds. Like we're basically bats sometimes, and if you're in an echo chamber, like in a doorway of a room, you can tell when it's coming at you. Like, that's fucking sketchy.
It was foul. I have never ran. I've never ran as fast as I did. And I want to say, like,
she's a runner. She's a track star,
right? Honestly, I was like, let's just go. We gotta go. Like, don't look back.
I always tell them I'm not like one to like leave you guys, but like I will turn into the fastest track star you've ever seen if shit happens.
Oh yeah. My friend Steve, he's always just like, I'm gonna trip you. He's like, I'm tripping you. I'm sorry. And I'm just like, I'm precious cargo. Like, you have to take care of me. Yeah. And it's just like, no. I like, if anything were to actually happen on like a big ghost hunt, like, I'm dead meat. Like, I've already like come to terms with it.
I see, and it's like I always get like that pack mentality. So when it's like we're like in like a squad of like 2 or 3 people, I'm like, yo, like, I'll go over there by myself. Just don't go too far.
Yep.
I want
you're on the corner.
I want to be able to see your light.
If I get scared, I want to be able to hear you.
My friends always tease me that they're gonna leave me alone, because I always do the Estes session for them. So I'm always under the headphones. I'm always under the blindfold. I have no idea what the hell's going on half the time.
Too.
Yep, I have no idea what the hell's going on half the time. And all I ask is, please do not leave me alone. Just please don't leave me alone. It is so scary having 2 of your senses blocked out and to not know anything what's happening. And actually the night before I locked myself into Old Hospital, they left me alone. We were in the X-ray room, and it is just pitch black down there. And like, we were not getting anything, so they were gonna pull me out, and they were just like, well,
scoot on out of here.
So like my friend Dylan took like whoever else was in the room, and they were out in the hallway, and then my friend Steve was like, I'm pretty sure I can tap her leg and jump behind the X-ray like booth or whatever it is,
and we'll get
before she takes her headphones and blindfold off. So they did it. I felt a tap on my leg, and it took me a second. And I just remember taking my headphones off, and I was like, "Is this real?" And there's because like that's my new thing to say now, because I've been getting like touched. Yeah, I've been getting like touched like during the session. So I'm like, "Is this real?" Because before I used to just jump because I get so into it. So I took my headphones off and I took my blindfold off, but everything was pitch black still. So I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, you assholes. Like, this is the one thing I asked. And then like before I could really even like say anything, Dylan kicked in the door to scare me, and then Steve jumped out. So yeah, that's I'm the joke of the group, and it's hysterical, but it's like an honor because I bring so much entertainment to everyone.
I feel that. See, I just get like highly anxious when it's like, I'm gonna go through there by myself. Okay. Can I have like a light and like maybe like can I have a backpack so I feel safer? Okay, I'm gonna wear my hoodie with my hood up.
Yeah, like when we sleep in these locations, I have to be, no matter like the weather, I have to be in a hoodie because that is like my little safety net. So like I bring my hood down to my nose, and then my friend Josie, my friend Josie said she looked over at me sleeping the one time on my cot, and she's like, you had your hoodie down, and then you had the blanket over top of you, and you only had like a hole for
just a breathing hole.
But like, she was like, I didn't know what was happening. I was like, I was in my cocoon.
I'm not getting touched by
ritual that is literally lived on through many generations, and it was bred into your DNA.
I was so safe. I was so safe.
That's me too. I hear bang when I'm a kid. Fuck nope.
Yep.
I'm
in my cocoon. They can't touch me.
Ironclad.
Yep. No matter the location, like even when I'm sleeping on a couch at Wilson Castle, it's a cocoon. Like the cocoon will always live on in my life.
Yeah, I felt so much. I still put a pillow over my head sometimes because I'll be like, the world is. I don't want to see the world tonight.
Yep. It wasn't like that for Asher Walton House for us.
Oh my god,
blankets
so hot. We were given the opportunity to like investigate this pristine mansion that was awesome, and they had beds that were wonderfully made, and they were so comfy, and it was upstairs. But it was also like they said, hey, all the windows are nailed shut. There's only one downstairs door that opens that
and
like
no AC.
And then there's no AC, and we have box fans. But like the humidity was at least like 95%.
Oh god.
And like no joke, we were like, we turned these off, we have a heat stroke. And then when we went to go to sleep, it was, yo, where's the coolest room in the house? Okay, let's all sleep under the dining room table on the floor.
we grabbed every single fan in the house and circled them around us and slept under the table with fans.
I would have like put my blankets on top of the table and like made like a little fort out of it.
Oh,
that's great.
Amazing.
It would have been great.
Also
and that was, you know, like an hour after we had a bottle flung off a counter.
And
so
this is also the place that we walked in and we were like, so like, do we take our shoes off? Because this is so nice. And then he was like, you guys can do whatever you want. This is your house tonight. We're like, I'm taking my socks off. Like, I'm walking
that's
around
how Wilson Castle is. Like, Wilson Castle is like pristine. Like, I mean, you can't really sleep on the beds now, but like the rooms are all dolled up. They have all these artifacts. They have all these cool stuff, and it's just like you're leaving us alone in here for the night. Like, these are like precious. I don't have this money
like,
to
fuck.
like.
See, but that rug down there was pretty fucking pretty comfy.
You know, it wasn't the worst floor I've slept on.
I was gonna say I slept in worse. Like most
See,
definitely.
you gotta get a cot and you won't sleep on the floor.
I mean, that's definitely like I thought air mattress was the way to go, and then somebody was like,
we didn't even think about it though, because there's beds there, you know, and we were just like,
yeah. I mean, I was like 100% like I'm gonna sleep like a fucking king, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna literally suffocate from the heat.
Yeah,
like nah.
Yeah, because
that's how it felt like staying in Indiana for the first time when we went to ISS, because it was like the last weekend in August, and for some god reason it decided to be like 100 degrees out that entire weekend.
Because why not?
Right? Like,
because the Midwestern's butthole.
Oh my god, it was so bad. Like, that whole weekend made me never want to go to Indiana again, because like we would go take a shower because we rented like we stayed on the complex, but they didn't have showers yet, and this was like before they had Billy Creek, where you kind of like go to like the shower house and stuff. So we rented a hotel just to have a shower,
right?
And like just at like a safe spot in case anyone needed it. The second you walked out of there, it was just instant humidity. I was like, this is
They
gross.
put on my
like,
wet blanket.
I'm like not having fun anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've done the other extreme too, where it was like how cold was it at Eloise when we did it?
It's like -3 that night.
Yeah, and like it was fucking brutal.
Yeah, he melted his shoe in the heater.
I did melt my shoe in the heater. They had one of those big ass propane tunnel heaters, and I was like, I can't feel my toes.
I can't feel my toes.
I was legit wearing like
have those for tailgating.
Like for some reason I thought like
and then I just looked down, I'm like, bro, your shoe's boiling.
I had on no joke, had on like a pair of fucking like pajama pants and then Adidas sweatpants and then tennis shoes, and I was like, I'm gonna wear 2 coats. Like I got a Carhartt, I'll be fucking warm. And we investigated that whole night. We were like almost one of the last people to leave. And
one of the nights, it was so cold you had to buy a hoodie that day.
Yeah,
just
and
because you didn't have enough layers.
We almost caught some of the craziest evidence I think we've ever caught too, where we caught like a fucking duck going off on its own that we bought at a fucking convenience store, basically. Well, it was actually like a giant mega store chain, but I mean, like, fuck, like it was. There was no reason for it to be going off on command, like it was for like the hour that it did, basically. And it's like, oh my god, like I'm just so cold that I didn't do any type of like brain work and like recorded anything properly or like documented any of
because it's
really
so hard
good
to hold your phone when your hands are frozen.
Oh yeah, no. At that point, you were just investigating for yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, like I will tell those stories.
At this point.
Yeah, the day I die, I will breathe. I will breathe and like absolutely like tell everybody you need to fucking check that place out at least one time in your life because it's fucking crazy. Like Riley saw a fucking shadow person.
I did see a shadow person there.
Shadow people are my favorite. I always see them. They always take me by surprise too.
I've only seen
my
one.
butt got touched there.
You did get grabbed in the booty.
I did. There's a twisted old man at that asylum.
Pinch them little cheeks.
Yeah, he likes to pinch cheeks. He's a little perv. We found that out.
See, and then it's like we saw like a fucking explosion of light in a concrete room.
Oh yeah.
And it was like somebody threw a fucking flashbang in there. And then like
that's fun. We had that happen at Billy Creek.
See, like I'm glad that
we thought it was a REM. We thought it was a REM pod that was set up,
but it was more of like that white, vibrant, like light.
The lead was like doing his little spiel and everything.
I'm from London, England.
We actually like
hunters.
Yeah, and talking about his TV show and whatnot. And me and Trevor like tried to stop him. We're like, hey, is there a REM pod down there? And he's like, whoa. And we were just like, okay, screw you. And we just went down there. Yep. And the dude followed us with his big ass mag light. He's like, I seen that light too. And he freaking shines his mag light in there.
Nothing.
And nothing.
There's not even a window. It was literally just like one of those like square box corridors where they probably put the linens at the end of it.
Huh. That's so interesting.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, we've had the phantom lights happen a few times. What was happening at Billy Creek was probably the weirdest thing because the second night really kind of like popped off for us. The first night was weird. We were kind of seeing phantom lights, but what really took me by surprise was that it looked like someone vaped in my face, and like I looked at someone,
that ghostly ectoplasm.
Who the fuck just vaped? And everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "We would have saw the light," and I go, "Who the hell just vaped? And why did I see a swirly like smoke cloud in front of my face?"
Yeah, like doing the trail.
And they were like, someone else in the other group had that happen, and I had no idea. So that was like that kind of took us by surprise. And then like after that, we kind of started seeing like these really weird phantom lights, and they would come in like little blips. They would vary in size and color and where they are in the room and who they would show themselves to. So like we would all be hanging out in this room, and then all of a sudden two people would be like, I just saw that light, and like you'd be like, where? And they
And
point
it's
it
like
out,
red
and they're just
lights,
like,
blue
yeah.
lights.
I was seeing like these. The only thing I can equate it to was kind of like a laser pointer light. It was like that really thin pin.
We've
red
seen
light.
lights like that. Like we've
Yeah.
seen red lights in the woods.
We've
and it's
seen
like,
that
why?
at Mouse Cemetery. We have that on video. We caught red lights in the woods that make no fucking sense
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Like how
Someone
you
said they
explained it
saw
too.
blue. Yeah, someone said they saw blue, and then the second night we went there, we were having the same thing happen again. And
That's
Steve
incredibly
actually
cool.
like pulled up, like he pulled his car up, and which was also really weird because so he pulled his car up. And before anyone got there, there was no one in the house, but he thought he saw someone walking around with a flashlight because the light was flashing in the windows and stuff. So he's like, "Oh crap, another group must be here." And he's like, "It's fine. We'll just join them. It's cool." Because we had the entire village to ourselves, and like we wanted to spend time there, so it's like, why not just go hang out with everyone? So he went in, and he like yelled around. He was like, "Hello, hello." No one was in there. Not a single living person was in there. Can't explain those lights. And then later on, when I got in there, it was probably around like maybe midnight, 1 o'clock ish.
Yeah.
I was sitting in one of the rocking chairs, and we saw a car pull up, which was Steve, and we assumed that he was dropping off our friend Reagan because he had to like forget something or something, whatever. So we saw the car pull in, and then we gave it a minute, and then or like a minute or two, and then the car pulled off, and we're like, oh, that's weird. So we assumed like our friend Reagan was getting dropped off, and we were all sitting there in the front parlor area, and you can see a person outside on the porch, the silhouette of a person walk up to the porch, and we assumed that she was gonna come and open the door. The door never opened, and after the car pulled away and we realized that no one was entering the house, we never heard the car door open or close.
What the fuck?
And then all of a sudden, like maybe about like 5-10 minutes later, the car comes rolling up again, and it's Steve and Reagan, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we had to go back because Steve left his energy drink, and Reagan was just like, I'll just stay in the car with him."
So who the fuck walked up?
Like, who the hell was on the porch then?
Yeah. That's incredibly cool.
That's so chilling.
And like it all took it. There was probably like 5 of us in there. It all took us a minute to really have it register with us that we never heard a car door slam, as if someone got out. Because when they got out, we heard the car door slam. I think that's when we realized it, and we're like, "Wait, shit!" Like no one was there.
It's little things like that you'll notice, especially when you like. It's one of those things where you don't need to think about listening for it.
It's literally the experience
happens.
It's the experience I had when I was a kid that is so similar to that. I used to hear somebody run down our steps into the basement where I played like hockey, and I would hear the door slam shut, but the door never opened and no one ever went through the door.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck is
like,
that?
What the fuck?
And your parents even heard it and would yell at you for it, right?
Yeah, they'd yell at me for running up and down the stairs. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm down here skating. I'm not going on the stairs.
So you mentioned the DR60. Do you only use the DR60? Like, do you swear just by that? Because we like our little like Sony. I don't even know if you can call them knockoffs because they're like the older versions too. But
like, are they like the long gray ones?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have it. I have that one.
Yes. See, and we've caught so many, and like on the 3 that we have, we've caught really, really good like quality evidence with them. And it's like I don't know if you can always say the DR60 is like the holy grail.
No. So the thing with the thing with the DR60, I will swear by my experiences with them.
I don't discredit it at all.
Discontinued. I get that there's malfunctions within them, and I get that there is a whole lot of controversy around it.
But there's still a high functioning microphone.
Yeah, but the thing that trips me up about it is that how come we're able to get a clear voice when no one is absolutely like, because we'll start the the session off where we won't say anything. We'll we'll
open the floor.
Yeah, we'll open the floor to whoever wants to talk. Like we'll even say that beforehand, and then we'll see what we get, and then we'll go on from there.
Definitely.
Or there's times where we'll just leave it running, and then we'll go check in about like 10 minutes. So like in theory, nothing should be there, or like
exactly.
but like, how come the one time when we left it alone in the children's wing, to the Saratoga County homestead, when it was just me and 2 other guys, it captured a full-on man saying, "There's a girl in there. There's a girl with them."
That's
Or
crazy.
how it like, and like when it comes to like screaming,
I don't think that's
stuff,
a malfunction.
Yeah,
the
like
screaming maybe.
Yeah, when it comes to like like the screaming and stuff, then I start really thinking like it's something internal, because you have to start thinking like, okay, it's a product that's kind of been debunked. It has malfunctions. It was taken off the market because of said malfunctions.
The frequency that it records on is shaky.
Yeah. So like there's all these things like against it, but like when you have those moments of a clear sentence or like a screaming that you truly cannot explain away, then what is it?
Yeah, I don't think that you can say that everything isn't, like real.
No.
But like what you said, like we always say this for people that are trying to get into paranormal investigating. You don't need all the like fancy tools. You even said you caught EVPs on your cell phone.
I actually
microphone,
so it's really
and we
funny.
have as well.
What's really funny is that I kind of rally against equipment.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that I hate equipment, and I don't think we should
We're
use
tuning
it.
forks.
But like everything you truly need for ghost hunting, you have it on your phone. You have your camera, you have a video camera, you have audio.
Spirit talkers can spot a ghost.
Right, you can have apps. I use whenever we do a DR60 session, the only way, like same with our Sonys, the only way to get the audio is to film it on your phone.
Yep.
I use an app called Recorder Pro, so you can screen record your video that you took and manipulate the footage or like manipulate the sound so you can like get the gain and like do all that stuff.
Yeah, you can actually like dally.
That's how I like cleaned it up that way. So like we even like record on it like in investigations where like we'll just play the DR back and like we'll record it on there so we can like listen to it in live time. But like you don't need any of the fancy equipment. Like you don't need REM pods, you don't need millimeters, you don't need the $3,000 DR60. Like you just kind of need yourself. It is not like I said, it's not like I don't like equipment. I have it. I always forget to use it because I just like hanging out and I just like living in the moment. And plus, if I was a ghost, I always I always try to like put myself in the ghost shoes. I know that sounds silly, but like if I was a ghost and someone was like, touch the REM pod, what the hell is a REM pod?
Literally.
No, yeah.
Like,
that's what we always say. We always try to say the color.
What the fuck
is
a millimeter?
Try to explain to the spirits the best we can on how we think they need to use it. If we're wrong, we're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
even know how they manipulate the stuff.
Like we can just show them like, hey, if you can touch this like I can, like it'll light up. Or like,
oh yeah, like there's times where like we'll we'll leave REM pods out and like I'll walk up to him like all you have to do is just wave your fingers, like I'll like do all this stuff. But like at the end of the day, I'm just like, okay, like I don't know. I personally can do without equipment, but I'm coming to find out that I do like equipment. It's just the unique pieces. So I'm trying to like get all like the weird unique pieces. So like eventually when this hobby or what have you comes to an end, or like I hang up all the ghouling and just kind of like relax on like the ghost stories and stuff, I still have cool pieces and it's not just like all these weird little black boxes.
Right. No, I agree with that too. Like our friend Tommy, like he has this like really old school radio that he can just tune it with his hand. That'll just like go through.
He has captured some of the craziest.
Yeah, just by tuning it with his finger. Like, it's like the old wooden style
like evidence I think I've ever seen.
Like, and there's absolutely no fucking way that thing has been manipulated for it to be a fucking ghost thing. Like he bought it at a pawn shop. Well, not pawn shop, like an antique store basically. And he's like, we're just going to use this. And then he just asking questions and he's getting responses through the tuning in between the stations. It's like,
that's so interesting.
What it just, it's like, you don't need the $800 Ovuluses. You can use the $5 Spirit Talker and you'll have just as great evidence.
And like the cat balls and everything.
Yeah, inexpensive.
Fantastic. You can get like 40 for like $20. My friend Reagan did it. And she is our cat ball dealer.
We've proven too that like if you put out a bunch of them and only one or two go off and it's like in sequence to each other, like that's paranormal. Like there's no explaining that. If not all of them, how?
Yeah. you can even just get styrofoam cups.
That too, yeah.
My little dude, I love him dearly. His name is
Styrofoam
Joe.
cups and ping pong balls.
Yep.
Mhm.
We're very fortunate in Buffalo to have like a little paranormal shop. So like it's like this weird paranormal and oddity shop, and
Little hole in the walls.
yeah, it is fantastic. The guy will talk your ear off, so I always have to plan when I have time to go in there because I'm in there for hours. And he was the one to tell me, he was like, all you need are styrofoam cups. You get the static on there, and he's like, if you set them up in a hallway like zigzagged and something walks through, you'll see all the cups move.
Yep. Or even just like if the locations are cool with it, put down a little bit of not baby powder, or like flour, like just like as long as they're cool with it and you can sweep it up, or they're like, hey, we have a room where we do this. Yeah.
Someone did that at Madison and they left.
And then they just didn't clean it. Yeah. See, where it's like you got to get specific permissions for certain things, but like it's the inexpensive ways where if you catch something in that, it's incredible. Like I've seen videos from the Ghost Bros. Like I keep bringing them up because I love those boys. Shout out the homies. But like they caught, I forgot what location it was, but it was this puddle that it looked like 2 feet had stepped, in it, and it was dry, but around the puddle was wet, and then it looked like wet footsteps had walked out of it.
That's a crazy. I forget
that work?
I forget where that was.
I know I had to go back into our video and listen to our talk again, but it's like, oh my god!
Yeah, and they have video of the puddle before and after the footsteps.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense, and it
makes
just
no sense.
They didn't use any equipment to capture that. They just stumbled upon it, and we're like, whoa, like that's crazy as fuck. And same thing that happened with us at Asher, like the bottle getting knocked off of the countertop, like. That was the CCTV footage from the Asher house that had that installed in there for that type of stuff. We didn't necessarily capture it with our cameras, but all the same, we were in this next room over about to walk into that room. We heard it happen,
but we were about to go in there. It's like they were ready for us. They're like, you're taking too long. I'm already going to do something.
And boom, and they just took off. It's like stuff like that where you don't, it's not the fancy blip blops and flip flops that we always love to use, which it's incredibly awesome to get to use.
I mean, honestly, some of my favorite experiences aren't even recorded or anything. They're just memories. Like not Asher Walton, Eloise Asylum. We heard this super loud bang. We tried to debunk it for like a half hour, and we couldn't figure out.
We got yelled at because we kind of went beyond the boundary, and we're like handprints and shit on dust.
Yeah, we were looking for like, because it was pretty dusty. We were looking for disturbed.
There's got to be a 5-star somewhere.
Somebody like something fell, or like somebody hit something, and then there was nothing.
Yeah, it was absolutely nothing.
You haven't made it until you've been yelled at on a tour.
Yeah, I mean,
I have tried to push my limits on.
It's like we weren't doing anything destructively. It was all respectfully. No,
you were just
definitely
trying to snoop.
But like they were also intrigued. They were like, "What are you doing? Like you can't go back there." We're like, "Put this down," and they're like, "I know."
Like you're with me, so like now it's fine.
I mean, shoot, I got one for our good boy Luke here. If you want to just capture experiences, just the best way that I can say it is just go and experience it by like just take your phone, throw on your camera, and just go walk around and ask some questions. Like don't feel like you're being weird. Like it's an experience because it does happen all the time.
Yeah, you'll never know what you catch.
Cemeteries are a good place to start because they're free, and 9 times out of 10 everybody's very respectful at night. I haven't really ran into many like hoonigans around here. So I mean,
we've only ran into other paranormal investigators. So
and we've developed very long friendships, lifelong friendships with them now.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just got to get out there, and then over time, that's when you just develop the like, oh, I'm gonna like get this equipment.
Next thing you know, you're booking locations.
K2 is always a very inexpensive way also to get into.
And
it
honestly,
as well.
Look on Facebook Marketplace.
That is another good point.
People are trying to sell stuff left and right.
Our good friend Danny at the last Ghost Drama was selling a bunch of like camera equipment for pretty inexpensive because he's like, everybody needs to be able to get into this field. Like I'm not gatekeeping, and that's it's the homies. You just gotta look,
Yeah, and like Ghost Stop it like you just really need like an IR light if you want to film in the dark. You just
I
need
mean,
an IR
shit,
light.
we
You can
got
probably
$30
film on your
Amazon cameras too that
yeah.
we've used. Like that audio quality is ass, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they still work great for if you get an IR light. That's $10. Like you spend
Oh
$40
yeah.
on a night vision camera that works just fine. Like,
Yeah.
shit.
But I mean, if you definitely want equipment, I'd say Marketplace or eBay.
Hmm.
eBay and Marketplace,
That's
you
where
can
we
find
got
pretty
our
We
good
got really
recorders from
lucky.
on eBay. We got 2 recorders for $15.
Yep.
Oh,
His
that's not
dad was
bad.
gracious enough to like go like perusing the eBays for us, and he's just like, "Yeah, I got this for you." And they threw in these, and
Yeah,
turns out they were the
we
coolest shit we could have gotten for free, basically.
we bought one recorder and he threw 2 different ones.
They
in
were
there
like,
with
what
it.
is it? Like those like Zoom type like style,
Oh,
like
okay.
full studio recorders. And he's like, I
Mhm.
have 2 of the older ones that we don't. But he's just like, I'll throw them in if you want them. He goes, I'll take them. We use the
Yeah.
older ones more than we use the newer ones because the newer
Right?
ones are just too sensitive and it
Yeah.
just picks up
That is
every
Yeah,
sound.
we
Yeah.
have the like Tascam ones that are basically like portable studios, and
I haven't
like
tuned it properly yet.
it's so hard to get like dialed in correctly.
Because
So
if
we
you
just
get the
use the
sound of the
we just use
wind
the
or
old
anything,
recorders. They do the job. They're a lot easier to like
those are already
function.
set up for like a certain decibel level where it's like
Yep.
those Tascoms are really, really cool because you can set it to like -12 to like plus 24 dB. And like, I don't know what them bitches were set at when we got them, but like, holy fuck, it's like you hear like, and
hear-
what's happening?
like sensitivity. They're actually like insanely powerful. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it cracks me up for sure. And I mean, like local locations, like you just go in those places, you ask them like, hey, are you cool with me investigating? Or like,
Yeah. Also,
never hurts to
Publix.
throw it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
Publix
that
aren't the worst in the
public
world
hunts
either.
kind of like get a bad rap, and like I understand because
We've had
um,
bad experiences.
They're good
so-
intros. They're
but
good.
definitely a good starting place.
oh yeah, like you kind of have to like suss out the ones like though they're no longer the Ghost Hunt USA events
Yeah, I was
used
gonna
to
say
be.
that was ass. Like
I have a few choice words for that
yeah, I didn't like how they
but I
did
won't
it.
get into it. But like they used to book their locations to like
Overbook.
150 people,
Yep.
and you could not do anything. And I've even
25
heard
people a group.
like, and like some girl who I used to talk to, I remember her being like, this was when Crescent was back in like a couple years
When
ago,
it was still
like,
popping.
yeah, and someone was like, it's not even haunted. I'm just like,
Have you been there?
went with a Ghost Hunt USA event. You don't get to say that. Like,
yeah, I mean that's the grail though, is like if you get to do it when it's just you and like people that you trust enough, which I mean,
We got lucky with our first Ghost Hunt.
I was just gonna say too,
we only had
though.
11 people there.
Yeah,
so
and like sometimes you get those little
worked out
Goldilocks zones.
pretty good for us.
And I will
But
say
then the next
that,
time we went, we thought there was going to be like
people, like
something similar, like 20 people. We're like, oh, it's going to be so awesome.
no.
150 people showed up. We
were
were the first ones
ones.
there, and then all these people just started showing up. We're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Ooh,
We paid that much money for this?
Yeah, they robbed us.
Like $200 almost a ticket.
Yeah.
And it's just
Anytime someone would bring them up and be like, you really want to go? Like, you want to do that? I'm like, I can take
it was the only way to get into the location. That was the only.
Well, I get it. But that's a sacrifice you had to make. But
yeah.
I will say that there are a handful of locations that are cheap enough where you can get a group of 5 or even.
Oh yeah, and make it like
when
under $100.
Yeah, like when you start networking with people, it's easier to book. Like Madison
Weekdays,
and
too.
Fairfield, 2 of my favorite Ohio locations. They, especially if you go on off season, you can get those locations for $300 on the weekends and $150 during the week in the winter.
Yep. And
So,
if you can swing that, that's really really cheap compared to a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really affordable places out there that are
they're lesser known though, and that's the sucky part, is like you have to kind of be in the area to like know about some of them. Like the Bell Mansion, I didn't know about until very recently. Like stuff like that.
I mean, like when you get on like social media and you start like following and like kind of like diving in deeper, like to some of the creators out there, you'll find more places.
So
like
many
there are still some places that I'm finding out where I'm just like,
yeah,
okay, like I'm gonna have to go there. But like there's also the big places, so like it's kind of like a weird mix. You can't really sleep on the bigger locations, but you also really definitely cannot sleep on the smaller ones.
We've had some of the best evidence at the smaller ones where just like somebody said, hey, this place is haunted, and then we talked to somebody and they said, you guys can come in after hours.
Or a place that nobody knew was haunted, and we just found some cool history
like
and
a park.
Investigated it. Like a park, exactly. The haunted forest. We talked about it a lot tonight. But
yeah, it's like I don't understand how, but it happened. And it's one of those, it's like lightning striking in a position where you just didn't expect it to, and you just kind of captured that.
Exactly.
But we have reached the almost 2-hour mark, so we want to say thank you.
We usually put the curtains down.
Yeah. We want to say thank you for joining us.
I do have to get up at
7
a.m. or like 6 a.m. to go to Edinburgh tomorrow. So it's a very early turnaround for me.
Have fun. How far of a drive is it for you?
6.5 hours.
Oof.
Yeah, and we got to go through Chicago and like all the way down through Michigan, which the roads, as soon as you get out of Michigan, turn good, but like all the way to it is fucking ass. And it's tis the season for the blooming flowers of Michigan, which are the fucking road construction going.
I was just gonna say it's construction season in Ohio
definitely.
Too.
So I mean,
I haven't driven. I flew when I went to Chicago last weekend. So
I'd love to.
That saved me, but I don't know. My cap is like an 8-hour drive.
Right, I was like, this will be the farthest.
Pushing it coming home from Indiana.
It's the farthest we've done since me and him went to Lincoln County Jail, and that was about a 5.5-hour drive, right? If I remember correct. So it's like an extra hour is gonna be kind of rough. But I mean,
after a while, you get used to it. Like now,
I get to see some like awesome.
I do 4 hours across the state, like the back of my hand. Like the one day I was like, how did I get home already?
Yeah. See, and it's like I struggled on our way back from the Bell Mansion from Indiana. I was like, I'm doing this, and I was like, oh.
Apparently, I was eating brownies in my sleep. I have no idea how that's possible, but I was.
Like all I remember is like I watched.
I woke up with like 4 things of brownies like on my lap, and I was just like, "What the fuck?"
That's hysterical.
Well, and the funniest part to me was like I like drove into the little subdivision that he's in, and it's like, as soon as we went over the first speed bump, he just got up and just started gathering his stuff. Like he just knew he was home.
That's what happens with our friend Dylan. When it's the 2 guys in Haunted Nights who I do events with and stuff, Dylan is always the one to fall asleep, and he's gonna fall asleep like when he like settles into his chair. And I swear to God, Steve said like they did like a 13-hour road trip somewhere. Oof. From the probably like 45-minute mark to the 10 minutes left until home, he slept the entire way. And then like once 10 minutes came and like he knew he was in the area, he was like, oh, look at that, we're already home already. Like,
we're home. Like, I feel like a fried chicken.
Right? I was just like, I wish. I drive by myself all the time. I wish.
Yeah, we got home pretty quick in my opinion.
God damn it, I love that. That's amazing.
But
this has been a blast.
If you aren't yet, you make sure you go follow the Ghoul Guide. All the links are down in the description.
You better go and check all of them links for shizzles, because all them reels and all those little fucking just nuggets of goodness, they're there for the like.
Yeah. We gotta get her to 100,000 so that she has to go lock herself inside of Mason Seminary.
Yeah, and if you ever find yourself in the area or somewhere in the Midwest area, and you're like, hey, those random guys from Michigan, like they were pretty cool to talk to. Like, let's all investigate together.
Yeah, like no, we'll totally do something. I call it the Great Lake region. I'm always around the Great Lake region. I'll always travel. So, and Ohio has become an odd second home to me, which I never thought I'd see. So I'm always in Ohio.
So many people odd sentence to say. Ohio's become a second home.
My second home.
I didn't know it was the first home.
I give Ohio so much shit. And I'm like, when I first started this, I used to be like, I hate Ohio. And now I'm like in it every weekend. So I know there's people out there being like, so how's Ohio now? Don't you love it? I'm just like, just leave me alone.
I love it as much as I love ghost hunting, and I love that a lot. So damn it, it looks like I'm stuck. But go blue for sure.
No, I'm right there with you.
Oh hell yeah! But this has been a blast. Thank you again for giving us your time.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course,
been so fun.
And with that being said, folks, remember to keep your ears and eyes open for it really goes
bump in the night. Peace. Mwah. Chat, you're